Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, aka Good Lawgic. Tonight, as you're all aware, we are roughly, I would say, 30 hours since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and the world seems far more chaotic and just there's madness that's ruling the airways. So tonight I brought in one of my regular co-hosts here, good friend of the show, to help us all walk through it and break down, keep you up to date as to exactly what's going on in the world, how things are unfolding, what's happening with the Manhunt. And we have live updates for you as well as breaking news. I'm going to be looking through some different conspiracy theories that people are throwing out there and different thoughts and try to break down some of those. So, but before we go anywhere, let's bring on our man here. Jim tells you, how are you?
Not good, Joe. Oh, the world is rough, man. I don't know.
It's a rough day. I mean, it's definitely been a bit rough. There was just now, like I'm not sure if I think it might have ended, but moments ago, a live update from officials about the ongoing manhunt. So I want to start there. I know you have it queued up and ready to go from the opening.
Whatever you want to do. You want to pull it up? I got it.
So yeah. I think that's where we want to go. Let's find out. This way we're starting the show off with where we're at right now, and then we'll start breaking down as like what's been going on for the last 24 hours. So with that, you got Cash Patel there.
Thank you.
Oh, ready?
Yeah.
For being here today. My name is Hillary Kellner. I am the Communications Director for the Utah Department of Public Safety. This evening, we have FBI Director Patel, FBI Deputy
I think it's a little faint. Let me
you want me to turn it up?
Yeah,
turn it up.
Oh, you can turn it up?
Okay. I can turn it up.
Governor Spencer Cox.
Yep.
Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, and Commissioner Anderson, as well as Commissioner.
That better?
Commissioner Bo Mason, as well as some local partners here present with us today. Governor, we'll kick it off.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here tonight. We appreciate the media and the partnership we have with you in helping us to get information out to the public so that we can catch this assassin and hold him accountable. We are going to share a portion of a video and that we have of the suspect, as well as some new stills. Those have already been released, but we want to make sure that they get as much attention as possible so that we can get help from the public in tracking down this.
I think maybe a little louder.
We're going to
a little louder. Okay.
Cue up the video right now. Show that. I've asked Commissioner Bo Mason if he would narrate to you what is happening in this video.
Thank you, Governor. Bo Mason, Commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety.
You know what? Let me try to do it this way. Pause it for a second. Let's remove that out. Move that out. I'm gonna try and play it on my computer to see if it comes in better, because I have it here, and I want to make sure that we have this so that everyone's able to hear me on the same page. So let's do that. Okay. All right, so I'm seeing what's happening here. Let's do this again, because I just totally ruined that. Let me break this down. Sorry. I see what happened there. Okay.
If you look up to the top left, you'll see the building where the shooter was proned out in the top left corner. We'll go ahead and play that video
up here
as we walk through that. So here you see the suspect ran behind that upper building. He's going to come out on the right, moves to this far right corner, As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA. There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes.
Wait, so he jumped. Where was the gun when he jumped off the roof?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I thought he had it in his leg. I thought.
No, yeah, I thought he had it in his leg when he was approaching. But I don't know. I mean, yeah.
A view of that. It's important to note his black T-shirt, his black pants, and there appears to be some white on the soles of those Converse tennis shoes. Those are all identifiable items that we're looking for. In the stills that are going to follow this, you're going to see a very distinctive T-shirt with an American flag and appears to have an eagle on it. There's also a baseball cap with a triangle on it and a pair of sunglasses. All distinctive, all things that we would ask the public to look for and try to identify if they know someone who has those items, who has been seen wearing those items. We're looking for all that information. Here you see the suspect after dropping off the building. He moved around across this grassy area, around the parking lot. We're going to pan to the right. After he crosses the street, this is where he moves over into the wooded area. This is the video evidence that we utilize to track his movements and to locate that firearm in that wooded area following the discovery of this evidence. You want to go to the stills? So here's the still photographs. I mentioned these have been enhanced. So these are slightly different than what we introduced earlier. Please pay close attention to the T-shirt. Like I said, very distinctive with that American flag and that eagle. The hat with the triangle and the sunglasses. Can we go to the next picture, please? The backpack as well. All identifying features that we're hoping the public can help us identify and lead us to this suspect. Next picture. And again, there's a better picture of the hat with that triangle logo, and again, the T-shirt, blue jeans, and you get a good look at those Converse tennis shoes as well. We have pushed these out. We'll continue to push these out, and we just ask for the public's cooperation through the public. The tips that have been coming in are what are giving us our next leads and enabling us to continue to further this investigation. We've had great cooperation from the public, and we're continuing to ask for that as we move forward. Thank you, and I'll turn time back over to Governor Cox.
Sorry, was I? How did I?
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
What are you saying?
Oh, I was typing. I was hoping it wasn't too loud.
Well, it's a little too loud.
Okay.
Just. I wasn't going to say anything, but once you brought it up already,
Okay.
I should. It's a little.
I have a cough button. I'll just hit that when I type.
That's a good idea. All right.
Mason, I want to thank Director Patel and his team. It's great to have them on the ground with us tonight. We've had several briefings, and he's had an opportunity to walk the crime scene. We appreciate our local law enforcement here. Again, we have Mike Smith, who is the county sheriff here. We have all of our local.
I'm shocked because I thought this governor was a Mitt Romney-esque rhino from everything I was seeing about him before this. So I'm waiting. I don't know. We'll see.
He still could be. I mean, look, even a Mitt Romney in this scenario would be, trying to help catch the killer. So
We got Republicans that are out here, saying everybody should shut up and time to get along, and
yeah, but it's his state. He wants the killer caught. The longer it goes without him being caught, the more incompetence it looks for his police department. So I'm sure he wants the guy caught, even if he were. I'm not weighing in as to whether or not he's a Mitt Romney. I'm simply saying I don't think that anything he's saying here, at least so far, is really indicative of him not being a rhino.
Yeah.
Well,
your good friend Thomas Massey came out and said it's all Trump's fault. He needs to tone it down.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I want you to pull that up, like this for the print.
Hand in hand with the state and with the FBI as we move forward with this investigation. Now, I'll just give you a little warning. We will not be taking any questions at this time. We're giving you the latest information we have, being as transparent with everything that we have. But I do want to share a couple things that I think are important. We cannot do our job without the public's help right now. The public has answered our call for action. So far, we've received more than 7,000 leads and tips. I would just note that the FBI hasn't received this many digital media tips from the public since the Boston Marathon bombing. This case also highlights the dedication of our law enforcement community. We have 20 federal, state, and local law enforcement partners that are working shoulder to shoulder to find the person who committed this horrific crime. With their support, we've completed nearly 200 interviews. As you're aware, as has already been reported, the FBI is offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to the identification and arrest of the person responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk.
That doesn't really sound like a lot of money. $100,000 does not sound like a lot of money. I mean, look, it's not chump change, and I'm not, anyone, $100,000 in general is a lot of money, but in the context of trying to incentivize the public, I don't know.
We also continue to implore the public to support this
Because you have to ask yourself, this is an interesting question to sort of ask. What is the point what do you think, Jim, is the point to incentivizing people with a financial reward to help catch a killer?
Well, you might get somebody who wouldn't say something otherwise, like if you have like a family member or somebody that was like, oh, but you're like, oh, well, shit, $100,000. I mean, I might make a call, if it's, even if I kind of like my cousin, I might make a call for $100,000.
Right. But would they do it for $100,000? That's the question. Because to me, $100,000 sounds like it's kind of skimpy. Yeah.
It should be like $1 million at least, I would think.
Yeah, that's what I would think, right?
We got a $50 million bounty. Well, then again, maybe that's why they put the $50 million on Maduro and on Osama bin Laden, because they know no one's actually going to ever collect it. That's why they put the $50 million on.
Right.
What was that echo?
Yeah, that was me. That was me switching over to the thing. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna make sure. I gotta just make sure. I don't remember if I started. I did not start the chat in locals. That's what I'm getting.
That's what someone was saying, that they wanted to give you coins.
I opened up locals chat.
You're gonna have to explain to me sometime how to actually get locals to play when you're doing a video, because I still can't figure out how to get my videos to play on locals when I do live streams.
Oh, you need to ask them.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. You have to ask them, and then they will. You can't do it. They have to make a. The default doesn't allow you to, but you have to basically.
I was wondering. I thought I was like, what? Because I can record a video,
right?
And I could go on locals and do a live on locals, just on locals. But I can't figure out how to get it to work. No.
Job for 9 actually opened the show up tonight, saying $100K reward for info is not enough. $1 million would have been more appropriate. I agree. J.H. Schwalbach saying, Jim, I just want to show you some support because Joe only spends his money on God stuff. He's crazy. It's true. Locals chat, I have coin. Thank you, JH. Thank you so much. Let's get on. Let's get on with him. This is a very short briefing, and it doesn't sound like they have very much.
Investigation and come forward with any information. We are truly hopeful that this video and new photos will lead to even more tips. We are processing. We have an incredible team, a state and federal team working together to process those tips. We are going out in tandem to interview any potential person of interest or suspects. But we need, again, we need as much help as we can possibly get. Any videos or photos that you might have, the public, should be submitted to our digital media tip line, which is www.fbi.gov/Utah Valley shooting, all lowercase. Again, that is fbi.gov/Utah Valley shooting, all lowercase. You can also provide general tips about the shooting by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's 1-800-CALL-FBI, or at tips.fbi.gov. This is, I would just say, this is not just a local matter here in Utah. We have people all over the country that are helping to bring this perpetrator to justice for Charlie Kirk and his family. I will just add as well that, as was mentioned, there is a lot of forensic evidence that is being processed right now at both the state lab and the and federal labs, federal lab on the East Coast. So we are working in tandem together. I would also just add a word of note for those people who are spending so much time on social media. I think Charlie said it best, that when things get bad, we should put our phones down.
You or me?
Spend a little time with our families.
Right.
There's a tremendous amount of disinformation. We are tracking our team, the state team, and I'm sure the federal team as well. What we're seeing is our adversaries want violence. China, we have bots from Russia, China, all over the world.
He's found dead, and it's like, oh, he's dead. That's it. That doesn't solve anything, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're trying to instill disinformation and encourage violence. I would encourage you to ignore those, to turn off those streams, and spend a little more time with our families. We desperately need some healing. We'll have more to say about that in the days and weeks to come. More than anything, we are going to catch this person. Last thing I will just say is we've been working with our attorneys, getting everything that we need, affidavits ready, so that we can pursue the death penalty in this case, and that will happen here in the state of Utah.
Oh,
Sure, I'll just say that. I think.
Oh, look at that! The death penalty.
Yeah, they have the firing squad in Utah.
Do they?
Yeah. So it'll be, kismet.
Nice.
Again,
I hope they don't. Here's the thing. We only have a minute of this left, so let me finish this up.
To the public, to those who are grieving, thank you for your prayers. I know we are feeling those prayers. I know the Kirk family is feeling those prayers as well. We pray that God will bless our nation at this very dark time. We can start healing by finding this perpetrator and holding him accountable, and we need your help to do that. Thank you.
And there you go. Cash says nothing.
There's nothing for him to say, I don't think.
I mean, he doesn't know anything more about this investigation than he would know with other investigations. I mean, he might be more on top of reading the reports, but he's not going to be giving any more information.
You're a good person to ask about this. Is can he be involved in this? Him or Dan Bongino? They know Charlie Kirk.
You're saying there are reasons
have to be recused from the investigation.
I mean, that's more of a police question than a legal question. I don't think from a legal perspective there's any problem with them being involved. But from a police investigation, like standard protocol type of thing, I guess it could theoretically compromise what's considered to be the integrity of the investigation, and I guess that could play out in a court of law if, in fact, there was a problem with the integrity of the investigation. So I don't think it's technically a problem, but it's probably best to avoid. So it's a good question that I really hadn't considered. I want to ask you a question now. He was talking about the death penalty, and we were talking, and you were talking about firing squad. From what I understand, when they're invoking the death penalty, they will give the defendant they'll give the criminal who's being sentenced, who's being put to death, the choice as to how he'll die.
I think in Utah, I could be wrong, but I think your choice is between being hanged and being shot.
Really?
I think
they don't have the whole lethal injection thing
because of the whole problem with lethal injection. They got rid of it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
They might still have the chair too. They might still have the electric chair.
I thought that there were all sorts of problems with the chair. That it doesn't always take. No, but can you now I need to ask Grok that question. Now I need to ask Grok that question because I'm very curious if that's accurate. But I don't think we should be giving the defendant the choice. And historically, and I know it was during a time of war, the incident that I'm about to bring up. Historically, when George Washington when the incident with Benedict Arnold was unraveled, George Washington ended up catching John Marshall, the head of the British, basically their Secret Service, and the one who was meeting with Benedict Arnold. So he caught him. They caught him afterwards, and he had changed out of his uniform into civilian clothing to try and sneak away when they saw that the American Revolutionary Army was about to close in on them. So they tried sneaking away. So he tried sneaking away, changed into civilian clothing. He ended up getting caught, and after he was sentenced, he asked if he could be shot shot as a soldier rather than be hanged. And that was like the one request he made from Washington, and Washington said, "No, you tried sneaking away as a spy, and you'll be hanged like a spy." And the point that I'm getting at is that Washington was like, "We're not letting you choose. It's not up to you how we put you to death. It's our sentence. Our sentence is you get hanged." And I think that makes more sense, personally, philosophically, that if you're saying we're putting you to death, it's not a matter for you to sit there and choose what your method of execution is. I think that should be for, I would say,
I
the
think you have
state,
the family to decide.
the state or the family.
Yeah.
That's basically how I would look at it. In general, we tend not to look to the family for like how we should punish defendants, only because we look at it as we understand that they're the most directly involved, obviously, but that they're not that it's considered an offense against the state. So that's why,
Yeah. Okay.
that's why when it comes to example negotiating
Do you think
plea deals, they'll never talk to the victims.
Don't you think they should be public though? Again, like they used to be public executions, where in the square where everybody could see it,
Televised.
Yeah, right. I mean, this whole thing about it being hidden and all, no, it should be let the people see.
Yeah. Televised.
I think that was more of a deterrent, don't you? When people could see.
To the extent that it serves as a deterrent. I don't know. Look, my friend Steve Gosney is an attorney, is a brilliant guy who has written a whole book about all the problems with capital punishment. And supposedly, according to studies, it does not serve as a deterrent. Maybe if it was being publicly, and he really went a long way towards convincing me against capital punishment. The most
He did the same thing to me. I'm like, well, if it's something heinous that's on video and you see the person and you're like, that's you know what I mean? But I'm like, okay. But otherwise, I'm like, I don't know if I trust the government to tell me it was this guy.
Right. Or that they didn't hoodwink a jury into thinking that. Right. And especially when we're talking about, a situation like this, where it's like, as of today, we're 30 hours out from when the shooting happened. No one knows the guy's name. So now when they find some guy, we're going to be, it's tough enough to get proof beyond reasonable doubt. Yeah, now we're going to say that we're going to sentence this person to death. I don't know. You better have some very compelling evidence, right?
Somebody knows his name.
Somebody does. That's almost.
I'm still, like I said, I'm still questioning why they didn't hold the guy that confessed that it was him, that claimed, you know what I mean, that he's clearly was a decoy, or clearly he was trying to be a decoy.
Now he could be a decoy who was just trying to give an opportunity to let the killer escape without knowing who the killer is.
Wouldn't that still be an accessory after the fact?
I don't know. I'm not sure if an accessory after the fact has to have a shared conspiratorial mindset that they're working together. But I don't know enough. I've never researched. I'm not a criminal defense attorney.
I
think that's a really interesting question. We need to start getting some answers. But you brought up Thomas Massey, so and what he said.
Here I have this.
So I'm going to be checking out Utah first. Utah Capitol.
I'm trying to find his actual words as opposed to what this
methods. Oh, I see you're mistaken.
I'm mistaken?
Yeah, in Utah, the primary method of execution for capital punishment is lethal injection. However, the state has a unique provision allowing firing squad as a backup method if lethal injection is unavailable. So they used to use beheadings.
I didn't
It was repealed in 1888.
I thought they were having a problem getting the medication to do the lethal injections, that was the major issue. I just keep seeing people saying what Massey said. I can't find him saying it. I would prefer to get him, you know what I mean, his actual statement.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that way we like sort of but yeah, if you can maybe find Massey saying that the statement that we're referencing is while we're watching this whole thing, I see some people are asking what did Massey do? Supposedly, folks are saying that he made a statement that Trump is to blame for Charlie Kirk to the extent that he's ratcheting up the rhetoric. And
okay, here, just an article in the Hill, I guess.
All right.
So here. Want that bigger?
Representative Thomas Massey said it's too big. He includes President Trump among those who should tone down the rhetoric in the wake of the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Quote, I mean, there's a lot of rhetoric and the president himself engages in it. He called it a hostile act to co-sponsor the Epstein resolution, said Massey, who was leading voice in pushing a motion to force the release of files related to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. I think that's ridiculous rhetoric. I don't think that calling that a hostile act is something. I don't know how that's over. I don't know what the hell Thomas Massey is talking about.
Trump was calling it a hostile act towards him, towards the Republican Party. Not, I mean,
yeah. I don't think that's. This is people like they get like their own.
He seems to have changed after his wife died. So that, I mean, I kind of give him a pass because his wife just died like last year.
Is that it?
Yeah, and he's something,
I don't even. This is such a weird thing. Like of all the things Trump has said, Trump has said a lot of rhetoric that's combative, combustible. I mean, we're talking about Donald Trump here. He said some stuff. This is not it. Calling what Massey did hostile. That's not combative. That's not ratcheting up rhetoric or anything of that nature. Yeah, and that's what. Yeah, this is what Left Coast is saying. The same thing. That Massey hasn't been the same since this whole thing has gone down. While we're on Massey, let's you had a whole bunch of clips from different right wing people as to what they've been saying today. But I'll ask you before I'll ask you to start pulling that up.
Okay.
And
what do you want me to pull up? Do you want to start with this? I had some stuff out here. Let me do this the way I wanted it.
Do you think they're going to catch this guy?
I hope they do. I mean,
okay, we all hope they do, Jim.
I think they'll find him dead. It's my.
You think they'll find him dead?
Yeah, I think whoever he was working with is going to get rid of him.
So you think this is a whole planned cabal type of thing?
I do.
Okay. So
I think this is the same group of people that did the attack on the ICE facility in Texas. It was coordinated attack. And I just think this time they just had one shooter who was going to be the, you know what I mean? And they had other people helping them escape and helping do stuff. Hold on.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot of people are agreeing with you. Yep, very likely. Yes, Joe, I agree with Jim. Yes. All right, this has to be a poll, right? This has to be a poll. Let's see what the public is saying about this. I don't know why my thing isn't recording. All right, start a poll.
What's not recording?
Do you think this is a? Do you think This is Wolf. Leftist group. I'm going to put in right-wing group here also, and then we'll have.
If I'm worried about that, this whole thing could be I hate to say it because I don't. Generally, I think the Occam's razor, that the most obvious answer is the right one. That this was the deranged leftist who wrote the stuff on there to.
Foreign state.
Yeah, like.
That's my poll I have been going on YouTube. Do you think there was a group effort to kill Charlie Kirk or Lone Wolf? And then I have Lone Wolf, leftist group, right-wing group / government, or foreign state. So,
Give me 1 second. I almost have every tab open here.
I'm checking out what's going on in the ghetto. You guys can weigh in over there as well.
Why don't you tell the people about your goal for the evening, Joe?
My goal for the evening is if we hit our 15 yellows or more, we're going to go for 3 hours. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. 3, and I'm going an extra hour tonight, which means I'm going to have to wait that much longer to find out how Ja'Cory Krusky merited and helped me survive my guillotine league. And for one reason or another, it doesn't seem that it's recording properly, and that's what was bothering me. But thank you very much, Julio Scissors, for your for helping the cause. Helping the cause. Charlie Kirk may have been the last person on the right who wanted to change the left's mind. The dam could burst. I want to. I saw that there was a clip of what's his face, of Ben Shapiro, saying that he's going to start going to college campuses now. And if you think you're going to silence us, then you're sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. Brian Oldenkamp is trying to drag me here for 3 hours, sending back-to-back $10 super chats. So, yeah.
All right, I have everything pulled up in the order that I sent it to you. Right now.
All right, cool.
So I would like to start with a couple things that maybe make people feel slightly better.
Okay, good. I like that idea a lot.
All right. So this is Charlie Kirk back in 2016. He says, you can tell a lot about a person by how they react when someone dies. I think this is like, wow. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. He said a lot of smart things.
Oh, he did. He did.
Did you see that clip of on that topic? Did you see that clip of how Trump reacted when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died?
Yes.
You able to pull that up? Or should I pull that up? I can pull that up.
I don't think I don't have it like right now. I could get
it.
I'm
on it.
And we have this, all right, from Charlie Kirk, all right, that says, this is not that long ago. It says assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals say it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk. 55% said the same about Donald Trump. In California, activists are naming ballot measures after Luigi Maggione. That's the guy who killed that. Left is being whipped into a violent frenzy, and any setback, whether losing an election, justifies a maximally violent response. It's a natural outgrowth of the left-wing protest culture, tolerating violence and mayhem for years on end. Because you remember they said by any means necessary, diversity of tactics, all the stuff that they've been doing since basically, like I'm going to say I have a plan in my head for a show, which I'm going to try to get you maybe and Brock and everybody to get a bunch of people to collaborate on. I'm going to do all the research, all the violence by the left since the 60s. Because it's a lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
There was like weekly bombings in the 70s that people just forgot about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
there's a lot.
There's a lot. So, but yeah, so the cowardice of local prosecutors and school officials have turned the left into a ticking time bomb. So this was just him April 7th of this year.
Let me see that graph there. It's hard to see. Justification for murder of Elon Musk, 31% and 48% of those left and center. Unbelievable.
It is. It's nuts. It's nuts. I mean, I don't think you're not justified with killing anybody unless they're trying to kill you or someone, you know what I mean, or hurt someone you love, or I don't understand this. I don't.
When you want to know why this is?
It's indoctrination in the schools.
But what's the nature of the indoctrination? In other words, what's the key distinction here?
It's communism, man. It's
okay, but it's
broader. But I mean, that's what it boils down to: is they have to other the people that don't agree with them and be able to get rid of them. If they can't do that, they can never take power and win. It's how if you look at what happened in the Bolshevik Revolution, you look what happened with the French Revolution.
Why is it? But you have to sort of break it back a step. Why is it that lefties tend to be young, college age, and older become more conservative? You think it's purely financial? You think they all sell out once they start making money?
No. I think people when they're younger, their feelings are more important to them than actually. Their feeling. Like, how do I feel? I don't feel. Oh, it's not fair. They don't understand that life ain't fair. It's like it was the hardest thing for me to try to teach my son was life isn't fair. You have to do your best, and sometimes shit just don't go your way.
Right. And the point is, if you're someone who's accustomed to prioritizing your emotion over your logic, then
never being told no.
Well, putting that aside for a second, just even before we have today's generation, even if today's generation is arguably even more primed to become violent. We can talk about that, but just understanding why it is that violence would tend to come from the left, going back to the 60s, and even going back, probably you can say a century.
Oh, you could go back further. You could go back to prior to World War I. You could go back to the anarchist.
The point I'm getting at, Jim, is that if you are appealing to people who are much more about their feeling of what's just, their feeling of, as opposed to really thinking through a situation, then that's a demographic which is already more naturally attuned to the idea of expressing their feeling in an emotional way, no matter what the repercussion is, no matter what the damage is. Think about this for a second, okay? Think about this for a second. The nature of someone who's going to say, "I feel terrible for this criminal." I feel terrible for this criminal that is being bludgeoned by the system, right? That they feel is being bludgeoned by the system. So we on the right will look at this person and say this person's a hazard to innocent people. But they don't look at the innocent people who get harmed. They don't look at that. They look at the name and face that they can see, they can identify with, and say, but look at all the different struggles and difficulties that they had. And now they're going to fixate on this individual who they identify as being troubled, and saying that this person never had it fair. And once they're talking about never having a fair, now it's like we have to do everything humanly possible to implement justice. This is why they morphed the word justice into having all sorts of different types of ways of modifying terms and creating new terms that never existed before. Social justice, climate justice, all these different weird ways of framing justice, because they're using the term justice as what makes me emotionally feel right. I can't really explain what justice is, but this is just what makes me emotionally feel like the earth is in a better place.
CEO.
So when they are
murdered,
when they are working on that wavelength, when they're operating on that wavelength, reason is going to take a back seat. So now we have to stand up, and they feel good about themselves that they're standing up for the oppressed. And the oppressed could be the environment, the oppressed can be, the indigent or minorities or whatever. But now they're not working on what is really actually fair, but their entire thing is, what can I do to implement justice? And even if that means committing murder, I'm bettering the world because I'm implementing justice as I see justice. So I don't care about what's logical. I don't care about the repercussions of whatever justice I'm invested in. I simply care about having my way. And I need to have my way. I must have my way. Because if I don't have my way, there's injustice. And that's why murder is something that's tolerable, far more tolerable than it would be to someone who's coming at it from a perspective of let me think this through as to what is actually fair. Well, I'll accept if logic says something different from where I'm coming from, that I will accept that my position is flawed and readjust that. Emotion doesn't have time to readjust. Emotion isn't considering readjustment. Emotion it's outcome dependent. Its outcome is what matters, and that's the fixation. That's when the left went from being liberals into being leftists. That's part of what they embraced. That's part of where they jumped onto, where it's not a matter of what is actually genuinely fair. It's what do I perceive as being fair? And if I don't perceive it as being fair, in that case, I have every possible justification to stomp in anyone's way who's standing in the way of fairness. That is ultimately why they are far more likely to engage in violence than in random acts of violence particularly against those who they perceive to be weapons of injustice. That way they're cutting off the head of that source of injustice. That is the mindset of the modern leftists. It used to be liberals. They would try to think things through. It's like, what's actual fairness. But when you're working purely on an emotional basis, that's not where you're coming from. You're purely coming from what feels like it's right. This is why Ben Shapiro landed a lot of punch of facts don't care about your feels, because it really is about their feels, but not in a way of I'm trying to say, oh, they're just babies, they're dealing with their feels. No, they're purposefully investing in their emotion instead of investing in reason. That's a choice that they make because it just feels better to invest in your feels.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Years ago, 50, 70, 80, 100 years ago, people were a lot more religious. Okay. And so even though people were a lot more religious, there were still murders. They still killed people.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't kill women. They didn't kill children. It was
right.
It was like a thing, it was like, no, you don't do that. You'll go to hell.
Right. There's
you got people that will kill innocent people and they're non-religious. It's like they're not religious. And to me, it's mind-boggling. It always bothered me about these people where if you're religious, you could kind of say, well, at least they'll go to heaven. And this, if you're not religious and you don't believe there's any afterlife or anything afterwards, what you're doing has got to be the most horrible thing anyone could possibly do.
Well, hold on a second. Oh, you're saying that they're doing the most horrible thing.
Correct.
Well, right. Okay, but they actually feel like it's for the greater good. That's how they're looking at it. It's for the greater good. That's what's necessary for the greater good. So, that's they feel as if they're actually doing the best thing possible. It's because of that. That's clearly where they come from. We mentioned how people react in death is a great reflection of who they are as people, and I definitely want to look with you at some people and some of their crazy reactions.
Well, I wanted to show this one thing real quick.
Before you do, I mentioned Trump a moment ago,
okay, go ahead.
And how he reacted to he reacted to when he heard about Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I think somebody actually posted that.
I did. So I quote tweeted it. Yeah. So to understand proper context here, you have to understand that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is someone who Trump disagreed with all the time. He thought that she was her decisions were just terrible.
She was a liberal.
She was
a liberal. She wasn't a.
She was more a liberal than a leftist. That's true.
I mean, today I think the problem too is that the almost
borderline
liberals are no longer in the Democratic Party. They left. All the liberals left.
Maybe.
I
don't even know if there's no such thing as a liberal anymore. I don't know.
Still liberals. I mean, RFK is a liberal.
I guess that's true.
Tulsi Gabbard is a liberal.
That's a good point.
Donald Trump is a liberal.
Yeah, he is. And here he is.
She just died? Wow. I didn't know that. I just, you're telling me now for the first time. She led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman. Whether you agreed or not, she was an amazing woman who led an amazing life. I'm actually sad to hear that. I am sad to hear that. Thank you very much.
That's the guy who they say has no class. You know, and to me, look, he can hit you like with below the belt with a punch. He can be over aggressive and he can be bullying at times. But he understands, to me, that's all part of a show that he's putting on. It's a dance, a routine that he puts on for his audience. It puts on for, you know, for amusement. But when things actually get really serious, he's a genuinely very serious person. And that's, I think, part of what makes him really good in the role of president, is that he understands the gravity of what he's doing. He might play it off like it's all a joke, but you can see in that moment when he's interpreting the gravity of a moment, that his first reaction is not what the left did yesterday with TMZ people cheering, hearing that Charlie Kirk died, or different psychopaths who are, you know, saying, you know, that he's the first or other sorts of crap. But he actually, you can see in his face, he was moved, you know, and he's like, I'm very sorry to hear that. And because he could have been sitting there thinking, wow, you know, I get to name a justice. That's what he could have been thinking, right? You know, start seeing what's in it for me. Like, oh, wow, it's time for me to name a new justice. No, he just, he had genuine sympathy for someone who was politically kind of an enemy of his. So, yeah, kudos to him for that. Let me get to some of these chats here.
There was a yellow Barbie.
Yeah. So for Doxymom, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. I think this was intended to be yellow. We're going to count this one as a yellow. TR Greater X. With all these people cheering this on, I've realized true demons walk among us. I disagree with the left, but this comes down to good versus evil now. The ones cheering death aren't just left, they're evil. So yesterday, I spent a great deal of time on this show. Let me just give you the horn there for that one. I forgot to do that for JH before, but I think he'll forgive me.
You did miss one above this, though, too. The Barbie.
I missed what?
Go up above the one above Julio's. You missed
one above Julio's. I did miss Barb. I apologize, Barb. I'm sorry. I'll get to you in a moment. Yeah. Yeah. So what I was saying yesterday is, I think it's very important, at least for me as someone who has, you know, a microphone that's bigger than the typical person, that it's important to distinguish between evil acts and evil people. There are some people out there who I think are evil, but even when I'm talking about them, I'm going to try and just say, you know, they purvey evil rather than defining them individually as evil. Because I don't want, because I do think it's important that we call out evil, and it's important for us to identify it. But that doesn't mean I need to identify an individual as being evil, because I do think that does give justification for someone to not, even while I speak out against political violence, you know, anytime anyone might read it into my words, I still think that it's important for me to try and make that distinction, because I think that a lot of these people who do very evil things are fools who are probably been led there by other people. So they're idiots, and they've been in an environment where that's been their culture, is to be surrounded by evil people. So why should I identify them as being evil? But that doesn't mean that they're any less dangerous. You know, someone could be like not an evil person, and but doing very evil things. They could be like, you know, an okay person doing evil things. That doesn't make their evil any less dangerous. And that's why it's important to call them out and to identify what they're doing as being evil and dangerous. Barbara Laska, I'm concerned that he had someone waiting with a vehicle to get him out of the area only because no one locally has, to our knowledge, come forward. Maybe not from Utah. That's a possibility. It's a possibility. I'm very concerned about how long it's taken to catch this guy. I thought by now they would have him.
It did take 3 or 4 days for them to catch the Luigi guy, but
they knew who he was, right?
Yeah. Well, well, no, they just had his picture, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. They did have his picture. Yeah.
I think they have this guy's prints.
Hopefully
they have his, so I don't, like I said, my gut tells me they're going to find him dead in a ditch.
I don't know. That's what I'm not thinking. That's what it could be. Who the heck knows? I'm certainly no prophet.
If it is any type of any type of conspiracy with other people, the people involved are going to get rid of the guy.
Yeah, possibly. It depends on on what type of conspiracy you're talking about, right? But I want to look with you at some conspiracies this evening.
Okay.
That's definitely one of the things that I want to talk about openly here. In fact, I'm gonna tell you right now. I've seen a bunch of people try to say that Charlie Kirk was killed by Israel.
Yeah, I think that's beyond retarded, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I think it's beyond retarded too. But I'm going to treat it as if like, okay, let's boil this down. And I'm actually thinking that I'm going to watch that jackass Jackson Hinkle's entire 40-minute thing, or like as much of it as I can stomach, and hear his arguments to try and establish why it is that he thinks is basis to say this. You
realize Israel. Though that anything that happens that Hinkle says it was Israel's fault, right?
Oh yeah, I know. I know. Of course. Are you kidding me? Right now, the Packers are playing the Washington Redskins. Yes, Redskins. And I'll tell you right now, if Jaden Daniels gets injured, it's Israel that did it. That's for sure. That, according to Jackson Hinkle, will walk you through how Israel injured Jaden Daniels. That's what he does. But in the spirit of trying, I'm not trying to convince Jackson Hinkle. I'm trying to alert anyone who thinks that he has any sort of sense as to like just how bizarro this is. I saw Ian Carroll also said Israel did it, and I'm just like,
why wouldn't it have been Ukraine? Because Charlie Kirk was totally against giving money to Ukraine. So
yeah, it's not Zelensky, of course. No, it's Israel. It's Israel, right? Because like he's number one on the list, not Candace Owens. She's not number one on the list. It's not not anyone from InfoWars. No, it's not Ian Carroll. Dave Smith, no. The top of his list was the top of their list. Obviously, is a guy who asked 3 questions about Israel. Right. Okay. So I want to see what he says as far as his justification. How do we know? Where'd you get to Israel? Anybody here see my old friend Charlie? Can you tell me where he's gone? This is all right. I saw him walking up over the hill with Bobby Martin and John. Remember this song, 1968? I don't remember this song. Sorry. But do you know the song she's referencing there, Jim?
I have no idea.
All right.
Might be a Beatles song.
Hmm.
Talking about maybe
I'm not sure.
Or Martin Luther King, or I don't know, or somebody who got killed, obviously.
Probably. 1968, maybe it's RFK.
Yeah.
First the train, now this. I'm really tired of standing back and standing by. I want action. I do it myself. I knew what action to take, but there's nothing equivalent to what we have lost. And that's a really, this is something I really I regret not spending more time talking about yesterday, which is he was, and Trump actually pointed it out, he was the most influential person with youth, perhaps in history. Just as far as being able to change their minds. You look at where how the young people came out and voted in 2016 versus how they voted in 2024. And he resonated with youth in a way that no one has come close. Because of his age, because of his relatively young age, that definitely was an advantage as far as him not being looked at as someone who is like a boomer, which they wouldn't be able to relate to someone in my age demographic the way they can relate to a Charlie Kirk. And they're not going to relate to Ben Shapiro And he was just able to really just resonate with them in ways that just moved hearts and minds and got people to actually think about what the positions they were taking. And the influence that he wielded made him, in many ways, one of the five most significant. He's easily one of the five most significant, and you can make a point that he was the most significant influencer leading into the 2024 election.
I mean, he legitimately could have been president someday.
Yeah.
I mean, people say that a lot about a lot of people, but no, I mean, he legitimately. I mean, there was a lot of talk about him running for governor of Arizona, about him running for Senate in Arizona.
Really?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. Someone his size perhaps could have. I think it's demonic influence. We can psychologize it all we want. Evil walks among us. Yeah, I understand that, but the question is how evil manifests. What makes evil more easily manifested? So that's why I was going down that whole road. Many on the right think the left advocates for literally killing babies, and yet we remain peaceful. They took someone for simply asking them to change his mind. We are not the same. It's true. It's true. He just wanted to change minds. Why they go at the emotion? Because it puts you in a fight or flight instincts. Then you hear fight puts in their head on what to do. Could be. I really think that. I think that they're trained to think that there is nothing evil, that the other side is evil, and there's no wrong in when you're fighting evil. Like there's, it's there. All the rules come off the table when you're dealing with evil, and that's part of why the whole quickness with which they just label anyone who disagrees with them as being fascist, racist, ultimately has a danger, not to I'm not talking about to millions of them, but to to the most radical 1% of them, which now you're talking about tens or hundreds of thousands of people. I'm not talking about 99% of people, even leftists. Forget about blue voters, who some of them may be liberals. I'm talking about even leftists. Let's assume that 99% of them are totally okay. That still leaves 1% of them who are just potentially psychotic. And the more that type of labeling goes on as being the norm, the more likely they are to just easily snap. Charlie was personification of the American dream, and it was taken away, broadcast live. Yeah, I actually labeled him yesterday. I don't know if you were here yesterday, Anthony. I labeled him as the perfect personification of First Amendment rights, of freedom of speech. Even freedom of religion also, but particularly with respect to speech, because everything about his speech was dedicated towards what the framers had in mind when they protected free speech.
Charlie Kirk was kind of like the prize you would get in a Cracker Jack box. You didn't really know what it was going to be, but you always wanted it.
Not bad.
That was for Jay Liebgott. I don't mean to work Cracker Jack into a sentence.
Wellesley, no, I see. Nice. Well done. I didn't pick up on it. Wellesley says, on evil, do you think people have the power to override the good that God created? I don't know what you mean with respect to overriding the good that God created. I think ultimately we're all in God's hands, and that so no one has the power to override that. That doesn't mean there couldn't be things that to us we're going to perceive as. It's a very complicated thing. It's a very complicated issue which comes up in Jewish theology and likely in Christian theology as well. I've never really had that conversation in context. When you talk about freedom, whether people have actual freedom or not, whether free choice or not, if God is controlling everything, then the question always comes down, well, if God's controlling everything, in that case, why does he allow evil to happen? Or why are people able to do evil things, and how is there freedom of choice? And the Jewish perspective is that we do have free will, and that God is controlling what happens while still allowing free will to reign, in the sense that, we're coming up to the Jewish New Year in 10 days or so. And one of the things that happens in the Jewish New Year is that God actually has like a book of life. And at that time, he's basically inscribing who's going to be born, who's going to die, and what type of success or destruction people will have through the course of their year. So it's a time that, we start the Jewish New Year by actually coronating God as king. And it's a 2-day holiday called Rosh Hashanah. And it's a 10-day period, which 2 days a holiday. And then on the 10th day is climax with Day of Atonement that we call Yom Kippur. And when we're dealing with, when we're focusing on who's going to live and who's going to die and things of that nature, which is something that we firmly believed is decided. It's decided on Rosh Hashanah, and that book is ultimately sealed on Yom Kippur, the 10th day. And that it affects all of us, not just Jews, but the entire world. I remember last year before Rosh Hashanah, someone asked me to pray for Trump to win the election. And for that was like in September of last year. And I was like, I don't know what my prayers are going to do, but certainly God certainly knows what I want. But the point I'm getting at is I think that God creates this book and sort of scripts out. And to my understanding, he scripts out the way I personally understand all my teachings. And there are others who might look at it differently. The way I personally understand it is that God creates almost like, and seals for us, like a list of potential outcomes, but depending on how we conduct ourselves during the course of the year. And that's basically what ends up getting sealed. And I think that people can intervene with David. King David is famous that when God told him that because of actions that were taken by him and the Jews, that there was punishment that had to come, he gave him an option of famine or pestilence or an invasion from an army. And he famously said that he did not want there to be, it never leave me in the hands of an oppressor. Because when you're left in the hands of a third party, there actually is a removal because of free will. There's an ability for them to actually cause more harm than than perhaps their victim is willing to take. There's a famous incident of a horrible instance that happened when this little Hasidic kid was killed by someone who seemed like an Orthodox Jew, roughly 20 years ago. And that's when I was really looking into this, or various incidents where someone is famously murdered. It's like someone is like basically a sacrifice in that sense, that they become a sacrifice. And I think you can look at Charlie Kirk as being a sacrifice in that particular type of sense, where it's like that sacrifice is designed to wake the public up to like something that they're doing wrong. And that's why God will take sacrifices. So from a Jewish religious perspective, and I would be surprised if there wasn't some sort of similar perspective from Christianity as well, that there is a concept of people being a sacrifice. And if those of you who might look at Charlie Kirk, that no, he wasn't his time to die, because that's what we think happens on the Jewish New Year and sealed on Yom Kippur. That people's fate is sealed, that it's your time to die or it's not your time to die during the forthcoming year. But even if it's not someone's time to die, that in the range of outcomes, that they could fall prey to a third party because there is free will. And that free will enables someone to, God forbid, cause more harm and destruction to someone than it was actually called for. It was actually inscribed to be what was supposed to be their designed outcome. And when that happens, on those type of circumstances, we look at it as if this is God basically saying this is going to be a sacrifice, and the objective is that the public will see that and respond appropriately and turn back toward God. So if those of you who look at Charlie Kirk as being a sacrifice, I can understand that. I definitely understand that. And I think that theologically there's some sort of logic to it. I think that I probably gave you a lot deeper answer to this than you expected, but that's just what I do. So
you did hit the goal too. Actually,
what?
You did hit the goal. You went over the goal, actually.
So there you go. So thank God. I have a good audience.
Ones in there too, so.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. So Zandy says, I'm more worried that with so many people celebrating Charlie's death, who knows what might be helping him escape? Who knows who might be helping him escape? He's talking about the murderer escape. Yeah, that's possible. It wouldn't be surprising. It wouldn't be surprising. And hopefully if, when he gets caught, they'll go after the people who help him, as accessories after the fact. I'm having a hard time grasping that a pair of sunglasses appeared to have the FBI perplexed. Yeah, it is very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. You would think that. You would think we should. You know what? It's also very possible they have a name and that they're trying to find the guy. And they feel like if they make the name public out there, it's only going to help them elude capture. So we don't know. We don't know what the FBI knows. The mainstream media on the left was calling for a cooling off of the temperature today. Charlie Kirk literally was the guy willing to reach out to extreme left talk. How do we cool off when we can't even talk? And what I was saying yesterday on this is you sort of have to look to the left to basically tell their own audience to dial it back. That's part of why I'm doing this now. Like someone mentioned earlier, talking about the evil of the left. And I agree that the actions that some things are taken is evil, but I do think dialing it back as far as labeling individuals as evil is a healthier perspective. I think it's a healthier tone.
Well, I would say that anybody that's out there cheering his death, anyone that's out there saying he deserved it, anyone out there saying this person's next or that person's next, those people are evil.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. But why does it hurt to say that's an evil action? That's the action of someone who's been twisted. Like I don't look at them as their core is their evil. I mean you can, but I'm saying is theologically, if a lot of people who are religious all of a sudden just forget about hate the sin or not hate the sin, not the sinner, and they'll sort of forget about it when it comes to political discussions. And
well,
that
I'm a little more Old Testament.
Old Testament is
I know, Joe.
Reluctant.
That was the joke.
Yeah. So, yeah. And here's the thing, though. I do think it's very important to call out the sin, and to identify the sin and say, this is a twisted perspective. This is a really, really screwed up perspective. And this person has you can say this person has a lot of screwed up perspectives, That doesn't mean I don't have to call Jasmine Crockett evil in order to say that a lot of what she's advocating for or is pushing for is self-destructive to America. I don't say that about AOC or Ilhan Omar.
I haven't really seen her. I mean, Ilhan Omar did like a whole smirking thing with Mahdi Hassan and everything. It was like, really, I was like,
you had that there? You had that there?
I have it somewhere. It's in there somewhere.
But see if you can dig that. See if you can dig that one up.
Elizabeth Warren, with her
see if you can dig up Ilhan Omar up there. I have you off. I have your thing off stage, so no one's going to hear it if you're pulling up different things there. While I'm going through these different chats.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah. All these young people dancing and cheering over someone's death. I wonder if they regret it one day. I know I regret things when I was young, but I never did anything like them. Yeah. A lot of people do stupid things when they're young. A lot of people do really, really stupid things. And they should be mocked for it so that they learn. But that's different. It's different to mocking them versus saying we need to behead them. It's like shame them into being better people. I was on X an hour ago where there were people in Ian Carroll's timeline agreeing with him that Israel's behind this. And I'm just like, I was just mocking. I basically made a point. I don't remember what I wrote, but I was like, You're just playing yourself. At this stage, to come to that conclusion, you're just playing yourself. So how do we make sure Charlie didn't die in vain? Words? No, actions. It's not simply words, it's actions, but actions doesn't mean violence. Action means course correction. Action means like saying the way I'm gonna. It's not. Charlie's whole life was about words, but his words manifested as were basically call. It's not call for action to take up arms, but his words were action. His words were moving mountains. His words were changing hearts and minds. That's an action that's being done through words. So you shouldn't disparage the significance of words. Words are the most critical distinction between us and all other carbon life forms. Yeah, someone could dismissively say words. What I'm saying is, if you're thinking through your words more carefully, if you're dealing with people as far as and saying like, hey, look, this is I would aggressively you do what Charlie Kirk did. And I don't mean they have to host a thing, which, a few people, no one could do it the way Charlie Kirk did it. I couldn't do it the way Charlie Kirk did it. I don't know anyone else who could.
Milo's going to do it. Gosh, he's going back. He said he is. I mean, that's what he said. He's like, I went away and Charlie Kirk rose, and now you guys got rid of him, so now you get me.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. See,
he was pretty divisive though. So Charlie
that's
was.
What I'm saying. He's
Charlie wasn't divisive. He was.
He's no Charlie Kirk.
There's going to be a lot of people trying to fight to take that mantle, and I don't know.
Should I throw my hat in? Should I do it? Should I go out there?
You can. Just get a little Grecian formula, put it on there. You'll be fine.
Oh, I have to have a Grecian formula.
No,
is that what you're saying?
No,
saying the gray is not going to fly.
You want to make yourself look younger.
Oh, that way I can relate. That way I'll be relatable. Yeah. I'll fit me a toupee.
You could fit in. You could be like a hipster.
I'll fit me a toupee.
Like jazz guy. I'm smoking that.
I don't think I would put a toupee on for $1,000. But yeah. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. On the other hand, to say something positive, I genuinely think, because I've seen it posted places, the silent conservative who was worried about losing their friends for speaking their political views disappeared yesterday. Yeah. Yeah. People are like, no, forget it. We're coming out. We're coming out. We're here. There's a lot of different positives. It's very depressing. But it's not hard to see potential for a lot of positives to come out of this. And I don't mean positives in that we're punishing the left. I mean positives as far as actually, people waking up to just how divided we're becoming. So many people have been calling for civil war. And what I'm saying is that
a lot of people say we're already in a civil war.
Yeah. I don't
just a lot of people think they think that when the attack on the firing on Mount Sumter, that they think that was the start of the Civil War.
Oh, they knew that was the start of the Civil War. That was
the start of the Civil War was bleeding Kansas.
Okay.
I'm saying when it starts and then you don't know, what I mean? Like the start of what started the First World War? Was it really when Franz Ferdinand got shot, or was it when other countries decided to declare, what I mean? What was it? You can always look back, but you don't know. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent here.
Yeah. I don't think that this is bleeding Kansas or an alliance between Serbia and Russia.
I don't know.
Has anyone seen a video? Sorry, I skipped a bunch here. I sort of jumped down there. The song is Abraham Martin and John by Dion, 1968, after the death of Bobby, added to the 3. You should check it out. I can't get it out of my mind. I'm definitely not doing it now. I got dinged yesterday because of a video I showed the last 60 seconds. I closed out my video yesterday with a Charlie Kirk thing, my show last night with a Charlie Kirk thing, and I got dinged by YouTube for it, which I knew when it was playing, I was like, I'm totally gonna get dinged by this. But did you see that Lateral Crowder was subpoenaed for publishing the ATF leak this morning? I didn't. I saw some blurb about that, but I didn't actually look at it.
He posted that he got a subpoena from the ATF, but Did he really, or is he just saying? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what he purportedly
Well,
leaked.
he supposedly leaked something that he got from an ATF agent, and so they probably want to know where, they want to know who sent it to him.
Yeah. Thanks for helping me through this, Joe and Jim. You're very welcome, KPT. So I'm doing my best to try and help people sort through this. I know it's a challenging time. Jim needs support also. This is true. Make sure you guys sign up to Jim Tells You. Link is in the description. Soon.
I was gonna say, what? That would be a first.
Maybe a very respectful statue in his hometown. That'd be nice.
I think.
I think leftists will tar and feather it.
Well, I think this is a moment that could turn into a good thing for America.
That's what I was saying.
Not that it is, but it could turn into a good thing if positive things come.
Okay, I've been saying that for like the last show and a half. You tell me now how.
Well, because this could be like when MLK got killed. At the time it was terrible and there was riots, there was all types of stuff, but it turned into, hey, we need to stop treating these people like they're not the same as us.
Mm-hmm.
And that basically opened up a lot of eyes and changed a lot of hearts to say, hey, this guy was just.
Who do you mean these people?
I don't know. By these, what do you mean? I don't know. They named a bunch of streets after him, and and he's got a holiday and stuff. It's just, Charlie Kirk is today's Martin Luther King. There, I said it. This generation's Martin Luther King.
I think he would have been very flattered to hear that.
Well, because he didn't preach violence.
He didn't. I mean, it was not really about civil rights per se, but it was about thinking and constitutional values. And in that sense, I think that the label
Okay,
I don't think it should be dismissed.
I might have spoken incorrectly. I'm not saying it's a good thing at all that Charlie Kirk is dead. What I'm saying is them doing this to Charlie Kirk could cause things to get better in America at some point. People could look back and go, hey, this is bad that this happened.
So you're saying the sacrifice of MLK is what led to civil rights for Black people, and that perhaps that this will lead towards more of a constitutional awakening for America.
Correct.
So just say it. Just say it. Don't be afraid. Just say the words.
I don't know.
Don't worry. Don't worry. No, this is a no judgment place.
Well, okay. And also when you look back to, like Steve says, Charlie was more moral than MLK. I didn't want to get into all the stuff in his baggage and everything with MLK, but yes, there was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think that part of it would have offended. I think that part of the analogy would have offended him. So, yeah. Has anyone seen a video of a man celebrating Charlie Kirk assassination? Like, I'm sure it's out there, but the only ones I've seen are women. I don't know what that means.
There was a guy that was celebrating it was like happened at.
You have that?
I don't have it. I saw it. I could get it. But then there was he posted a bunch of stuff basically trying to deny that he wasn't celebrating. And
yeah, because he got doxxed.
Yeah, he got doxxed and everything. And there's a whole bunch of those people that got doxxed. I can find one. There is a video of somebody who got caught stealing hats after Charlie was killed.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw you had a whole bunch of 47 hats next to him.
Yeah, somebody was stealing a bunch of them. Yeah.
Like these white 47. I'm gonna try and find that guy. Here it is. This is let me share this. This had a lot of people outraged. That just looks ghoulish, right?
Yeah.
So he has been doxxed, this guy. You're saying he's denying it?
That's what I thought I saw, was that they claimed it was but he's like, no, I wasn't talking about that, or it was something, I don't know.
I saw a thing which had his name. What was it? I'm just trying to scroll down here as I'm searching through. I'm trying to see if I can actually find.
I saw a bunch of them where the people would get caught, like do.
This is the other thing. This is another thing that people think is very suspicious. Is these people with the head that there's right before Charlie is shot, making these gestures, what seems like potentially gestures.
There have been in America over the last 10 years.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
So that's something people are fixating on. If it turns out this guy's an Israeli, I'm going to freak out.
Well, you know about the guy that I mean, I told you about the guy that was with his pants down that was saying, "Shoot me, I did it," all this stuff, and his name is George Sin. He's connected to a bunch of weird stuff, man. I don't know. Like,
we're going to get into conspiracies soon. We'll get into that soon. First, I want to bring this up that you have here. This is where we're talking about some of the bizarre reactions from the left. So
turn it up a little just to make sure if it's loud.
Yeah, this is obviously Ilhan Omar with Mehdi Hassan.
What I do know for sure is that, you know, Charlie was someone who once said, you know, guns save lives. After a school shooting.
They do.
Charlie was someone who was willing to debate and downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
I think he called him a scumbag.
Right,
he was a
have no
scumbag.
regard, downplay slavery and what Black people have gone through in this country.
Stop it for a
by
second.
saying Juneteenth should never.
Stop for a second.
You know, Charlie was someone.
Why won't it pause, man?
I just want to point this out. You know, when she talks about, like, you know, slavery and Juneteenth, and she sits there and she, you know, purports to, like, you know, be like a Black woman or something like that. That actually bothers me, because it's like almost like she's the one who's oppressed, and when she's a first generation immigrant here, it's and because she has melanin, that as if she's part of the plight of the oppression, the terrible evils of slavery, that she too is a victim of something of that nature, when she's got as much in common.
Didn't she own slaves in Somalia before she came?
Almost certainly. So my point is that, you know, he never downplayed anything about slavery. This is complete defamation. What she's saying here is completely defamatory. He never downplayed slavery. And he never downplayed any of that, you know, as far as being insignificant. Now, reparations, I'm sure I never heard him talk on it, but I'm sure he would have spoken out against it, because reparations is an insane perspective. The notion that people who who should pay for something that people who share their melanin did is insanity, or that people who share melanin with the victims is the stupidest thing in the world. That's like saying that's like saying that you should be that anyone whose nickname is Littlefoot should get some sort of reparations for what happened with the Cherokees. And it's like, but Littlefoot here is an Asian. It doesn't matter. You know, his name, he's got a very Indian sounding name. It's the stupidest thing in the world. So yeah, I'm sure Charlie Kirk did speak out against it. But yeah, go on. Let's hear more from this blithering.
Downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
I think he called him a scumbag.
Right, have no regard, downplay slavery and what Black people have gone through in this country by saying Juneteenth should never exist.
It shouldn't. It's made up.
And Juneteenth was not the end of slavery. It's not. You know, I mean, there was still every slave that was a slave in the North was still a slave when Juneteenth happened.
I don't mean, What is Juneteenth supposed to be
It
celebrating?
was when the soldiers got to Texas, to some town in Texas, and told them, "Oh no, you were freed by the Emancipation Proclamation." That's it. That's it. There was still slaves in New Jersey. There were still slaves in Maryland and
Wait,
Delaware.
the Emancipation Proclamation did not end slavery.
No, it didn't.
No. What I'm saying is in the South. It only had anything to do with what territory that Lincoln controlled. And the reason that he did it, the reason that he did it was he was hoping that by freeing them, that would encourage slaves to revolt and help take up arms against the rebel army. So it wasn't that he wasn't even looking to like actually free anyone. It's the stupidest thing in the world.
Yes,
I mean,
Trumpinator, New Jersey had slaves. New Jersey was the last state to give up their slaves. They didn't do it until the day that the 13th Amendment was ratified.
Really?
Fact. Look it up.
Wow. Yeah. The Emancipation Proclamation only affected territory that Lincoln did not control. That's the territory that it was supposed to affect, which is the stupidest thing in the world. That's like
he only had the power supposedly to do it because they were in rebellion, so they were under martial law.
It's no different. It's no different than you today making a proclamation that every Irish person has to give $100 to his next door neighbor. It doesn't mean anything because you don't have any authority over Irish people. He had no authority over the South. It was most meaningless thing in the world. But it was arguably the first act of virtue signaling ever seen. The Emancipation Proclamation. That's it. I identified the first incident of virtue signaling. Gosh. All right, go on.
I think, there are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
Complete rewriting of history.
You're a complete rewrite of history.
More
When did he not? I mean, when did he ever ask anybody to fight or threaten anybody or at any? That's ridiculous.
They never would have stood a chance trying to debate against Charlie Kirk. Neither of them would have.
I mean, was it because when you would say lies, he would call you out and say, "No, that's not true," or whatever? So that's not a civil debate if they don't just go, "Okay, I guess I just got to listen to what you say and take your lies."
Yeah.
Not challenge them.
Gosh.
And isn't this the guy? Is this the guy that ate human brain?
I'm really gonna struggle. I'm really gonna struggle with not calling people evil. I'm really gonna struggle with that. Help me. Go on, Jim.
effed up, than to completely pretend that his words and actions have not been recorded and in existence for the last decade.
Or like her words in when she said on 9/11 that some people did something.
Yeah, those words are certainly recorded.
Yeah.
Ignorant slut.
Jane, you ignorant slut.
Oh gosh.
So I did have this.
No, Tim Pool should invite me on his tour.
No, he quit his tour. He said he's done.
Why? Because
he's got a family and a wife and kids, and he can't risk it. And
really,
yeah, that that's what he said. I mean, I don't
so
know.
you're saying he quit his tour because of Charlie Kirk? He quit his tour.
That's what he said because of Charlie Kirk. It was the other last night, I think. I think it was last night. He was almost in tears, saying, he can't do it, and he canceled. He had stuff scheduled in October, and he canceled it, and he just said he's going to continue to do this and talk to people live, but he can't do the in-person meeting stuff anymore because it's too risky.
Wow. That's really tragic.
But the guy, and he was basically the guy. What's his name? The guy. What's his name? Ehud, the reporter that Elad.
Who?
There's a reporter that does on the ground reporting for Tim that goes all over the place. He's a Jewish guy named Elad.
Okay.
A lot. And he was really upset with Tim. He's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I go all the time when I'm threatened. It's just we have to do this." He's like, "I'm under threat everywhere I go."
Right. Wow. Jules says, what I really enjoy about Charlie Kirk is when he would debate someone who was told lies to believe, and when stopped with questions, you can see the lights turn in their minds. Hopefully the youth learn. Yeah, his work, I think, is more important now than ever. I think it's more important now than ever. JKG says, you're overthinking this. Young men like to fight, just like they join the military. They get to be a warrior for what they think is a righteous cause. They're treated as heroes. No, that's true. That's true. But that's not overthinking it. What I'm saying is, we're looking at the people who are cheering on this stuff. You're talking about the actual fighters. I'm talking about this whole attitude of going out there and kill. I brought that down in the context. I assume you're addressing what I raised earlier when I was talking about the difference between the mindset of someone coming from the left versus the right. And the point I was making is they're polling and asking people on the left, when is murder appropriate? You would never get something like that, is killing Trump or killing Elon appropriate. And the point is, the reason you would never see something like that from the right is not because the right is more virtuous, although likely they are by and large, but it's because of a mindset that's completely different. So
never mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you saw the stuff that Abby Phillips and Van Jones said about Charlie Kirk before, like a day to 2 days before he got killed, about him trying to stoke a race war, and because of the stabbing stuff, that Charlie Kirk inserted race into this when it was nothing to do with race and everything. I mean, I have the post that Charlie had put up that made him say that.
Yeah, share that.
It's there right now. And
all right.
I think this is, like the left accuses conservatives of racializing the death of Irina Zaritska. Like, this actually might have been after. This might have been after. But anyway, the death, while literally making sure to capitalize the word black while not capitalizing the other inferior color, white. They are a pack of liars who have racialized quite literally everything in America since at least 2014, but really long before that. They're not mad we're talking about race. They're just mad their white guilt spell is no longer working. And then he pulls up this thing basically talking about this article. After the video was released, a number of influential conservatives also accused major news outlets, including the New York Times, of ignoring the story because the crime was committed by a black, with a capital B, man against a white woman on, lowercase w. The reason for the media silence is racial, according to Nesh D'Souza, who happens to be a man of color. The right-wing commentator wrote in the post, if the killer were white, this would get coverage. Of course, if it were a white assailant murdering a black victim, then it would be front page headlines everywhere. And the idea that a mainstream news outlets downplay crimes committed by black people has become more of a talking point in some conservative circles in recent years. The critique has emerged even as liberal critics of the news media have argued that crime coverage by American news outlet is distorted by anti-black bias. In the North Carolina, as in other southern states, newspapers in the Jim Crow era often egregiously exaggerated stories about black, capital B, criminality. Among other things, such stories served as a precursor to a white supremacist uprising in Wilmington, North Carolina in 1898.
Listen to where they have to go back to try and justify their retarded actions.
Well, that was my point. This is like, what?
I mean, look where they had to go back to try and justify such retarded actions. Like, we have to go back 130 years and say, well, that's what happened then. There was racism 130 years ago. Yeah, there was. No one's disputing that. Why are you even bringing that up now? How is that relevant?
But I mean, just look. I mean, I've seen the story. I've sent it to you over the past couple of weeks about us. San Francisco stopped sharing surveillance video from their train of the crimes because they were worried it would cause racial stuff, because it was mostly people of color doing the crimes. I mean, the facts are the facts. You shouldn't distort the facts just because you think it's going to make people uncomfortable. That's all. That's where I think Charlie upset people, because he would not distort the facts because it made people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Johnny Rebs on a rant saying, there was a school shooting in Colorado yesterday too, only 2 wounded, and the shooter took themselves out. Evergreen High posted an info in Digger chat. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw it. I wasn't quite sure what that was. It seemed like it was 2 people. It might have been like didn't seem like it was like a school shooting where they went around shooting random people.
Are you saying it was a targeted thing as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Jade Schwalbeck says, left front tire had a screw in it. Effing Israel. Milk 2 days out of date. Effing Israel. Went to the bathroom, no paper. Effing Israel. You need to fix this crap, Joe. I have faith in you. Yeah, that's basically it. That's basically
I
it.
have some of the updates now that weren't covered in the news conference that we watched. So the Wall Street Journal reports that the bullet casings had transgender and anti-fascist engravings. Ammunition engraved with transgender and anti-fascist ideology was found inside the rifle authorities believe was used in Kirk's shooting.
Yeah.
There's that. And then here's Tim Pool saying CNN refuses to admit the truth because CNN says their officials probed the rifle and ammo scrawled with cultural phrases after Charlie Kirk's killing. A range of phrases related to cultural issues were found scrawled on a rifle and ammunition found in the woods near where conservative activist Charlie
So
Kirk
sick.
was murdered, according
so
to
sick.
knowledge. So I mean, this is when people say that they're biased. This is what they're talking about.
Yep.
Because if it said something like, KKK or kill all the N words, they would have definitely not said what they're saying now. They would have said that.
Right. They would have had stars for like some of the letters and the N word, but basically, yeah, they would have made sure that their audience knew exactly what was written in there. Yeah. So sickening.
The FBI has just I had a picture of the rifle, and that for whatever reason that got taken down, so I don't have that anymore. But it was just a black like synthetic stock looking bolt action rifle, like a $600-700 rifle is what it looked like.
Right.
Like nothing fancy, and it looked like the scope was on there real hinky. Like it just didn't look like a professionally put together gun. That's all.
Right.
No, so the FBI released the photos of the person. This is what the person looks like.
Make it big.
So I don't know. It's very blurry.
Yeah. It is very blurry.
I don't know because it's surveillance cameras, but he's not wearing gloves. It doesn't look like. So anything he touched, they could identify it. They could get prints off of it. They get DNA. I mean,
you would think, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're going to have something.
You would think they should have DNA.
Yeah. Oh, someone's saying there's better pictures. The better pictures, there was some people that were using AI to enhance the picture, so you got to be careful.
Right.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a imported gun, Sober Tech. It was just a Mauser action rifle, which is standard. It's a standard action that's been used in bolt action rifles since the 1800s. It's just one that works, and it's a cheap action. Basically, Remington 700s use a Mauser action.
Yeah. What else you got?
All right. And so this person says, is this who you're looking for? If so, you should just say it. So they have this guy, this is a trans person that they found that put stuff out like right before the shooting saying Charlie Kirk's going to be killed and dead at 31 or whatever. And
make that bigger. You know it's the same person?
I don't know. That's what these people are saying. I don't know. It could be. The nose, it could be the same person, just with a hat on, you know what I mean? And glasses, sunglasses. I don't know.
It's hard to tell. With the sideburns. It's really hard to tell. High school photo of Sky Valadez. Valadez has a song called Charlie Kirk Dead at 31 on his SoundCloud. She, her pronouns on Facebook, lives in Salt Lake City metro area. Wow.
Yeah. So and then Andy No has that federal investigators are keeping it hidden from the public that they found trans and Antifa ideology inscriptions on the ammo with a discarded rifle near the assassination. The gunman remains unidentified and at large. And this is what Crowder posted that he got from somebody supposedly in the ATF, and that they're.
What does it say?
It just. I mean, hold on. Yeah, here's the story basically. So weapon found near the crime scene. Trantifa. He calls it Trantifa.
Mm-hmm.
So, it says like, can you read that or?
Political influencer Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at the Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Mr. Kirk was speaking at the university as part of the American Comeback Tour. Multiple SLC 1 and 3 agents responded immediately. The suspect fired one shot from an elevated position on a rooftop in an adjacent building on the campus, and surveillance video shows the suspect jumping off and fleeing the area on foot. ATF and other law enforcement located an older model imported Mauser 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel in a wooded area near the campus. The location of the firearm appears to match the suspect's route to travel. The spent cartridge was still chambered in addition to the 3 unspent rounds in the top fed magazine. All cartridges have engraved wording on them expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. An emergency trace has been submitted, and ATF SLC is working leads generated by the trace. The firearm and ammunition have been taken by the FBI for DNA analysis and fingerprint impressions. Upon completion of forensics, the firearm will be disassembled and in addition for additional importer information. Multiple people of interest have been contacted or detained because of eyewitness testimony and review of video footage. The primary suspect is yet to be identified. ATF is, and that's it. Is there more?
No, that's it. That's all that was there. But I was trying to find that's all that's on there. So it just says all cartridges engraving. But see, like the picture that I saw of the gun just had, with the scope and everything, it just had like a synthetic stock. So if it was an imported gun, like an older gun that was imported or something, then they changed the stock out, took the wooden stock off, and unless it was not the gun that the picture they were showing. And if it's not the gun, then I don't know why. Maybe that's why they took that down.
Yeah.
So a weapon was reportedly found where they found alongside the weapon was trans and Antifa. Ammo was found alongside with the weapon with trans and Antifa ideology inscribed on the cartridges. Crowder posted a photo of the reportedly internal email. So I think that's why they're subpoena or sent a subpoena or something to Crowder. They want to know who sent them the email, maybe. But I think they would need a search warrant more than a subpoena, right?
Oh, only if they wanted it. A subpoena would compel them to answer, in theory. Now, they might claim freedom of press and say, we're not answering. Yeah, so I read all this already.
It's this morning, my team received an email from ATF officer, including a screenshot from an internal message about the Charlie Kirk shooting. So that's basically the email, yeah. This was from Denver, whatever. So it's weird that it's from Denver.
Yeah.
It says now the only thing that made me think that this was legit was Crowder released this before anything was said about him jumping off the roof, and then late after, that's when the video came out of him jumping off the roof. It was way after Crowder released this.
Right. No, I think it's a legit report.
Especially if they're subpoenaing him.
Right.
Ask for how he got it if it was fake.
Yeah.
All cartridges have engraved wording on them expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. So I wonder what was engraved on them exactly. I'd like to, because
upon completion of forensics, the firearm will be disassembled for additional important information. Multiple people of interest have contacted. Primary suspect yet to be identified. ATF is assisting the investigation with multiple other federal, state, and local partners, and the case is co-led by the FBI and Utah SBI. Officials confirmed that they had found the weapon they believe was used by the assassin in the shooting during a press conference on Thursday. Special agent in charge said that it was a high-powered bolt-action rifle and that it was recovered in a wooded area where the shooter had run after the shooting. Details in a report from Crowder were later confirmed in reporting from the Wall Street Journal as well.
I just didn't see any of the. I guess this is the thing where
Yeah, make that big. Make that full size.
Agent in charge of the Salt Lake field office.
Can't hear.
I got it. Hold on.
Following yesterday's tragic shooting of Charlie Kirk,
that's up 600%.
FBI agents have been working around the clock in coordination with our law enforcement partners.
Can't hear. I mean, I can sort of hear, but
we'll continue to work nonstop until we
you have a link for me?
that is committed
Yeah.
to this heinous crime.
Hold
I'll
on.
try pulling this up.
This morning, I can tell you that we have recovered what.
Here, I'll put it in a private chat. There you go.
Agent in charge of the Salt Lake field
Much better.
office. Following yesterday's tragic shooting of Charlie Kirk, FBI agents have been working around the clock in coordination with our law enforcement partners. We are and will continue to work nonstop until we find the person that has committed this heinous crime and find out why they did it. This morning, I can tell you that we have recovered what we believe is the weapon that was used in yesterday's shooting. It is a high-powered bolt-action rifle. That rifle was recovered in a wooded area where the shooter had fled. So the FBI laboratory will be analyzing this weapon. Investigators have also collected footwear impression, a palm print, and forearm imprints for analysis. Now, I understand there are a lot of questions about motive. I assure you that all leads, tips are being fully investigated. As of this morning, we have received more than 130 tips. We thank the community for that. The FBI has brought every resource to bear, and we will continue to do so throughout the course of this investigation. The FBI's mission is to protect the American people. It's to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Any attack on the First Amendment is an attack on the very foundation of our democracy. That is why we will relentlessly pursue this case and the shooter until we find him.
All right, so this guy's no Charlie Kirk. Let me catch up on a few of these. This is how we got in this mess. Conservatives have turned the other cheek for decades. I don't think it will work anymore. I'm sick and tired of the evil and violence. Americans need to stand up. No, I'm not saying to turn the other cheek. I'm saying that we should vigilantly call out evil. I'm simply saying that I don't see how choosing our words more carefully is a bad thing. I don't see that. So, Omar needs to be kicked out. Yeah, she is terrible. She did commit immigration fraud by marrying her brother. That's why I called her an ignorant slut. I choose my words carefully. Choctaw still had slaves, fought for the South. Oh, there you go. Only because of Emancipation Proclamation. Where was Joe around yesterday around noon? These are all good questions. I don't really have much of an alibi. Not going to kid you. Don't have much of an alibi. You're just going to take my word for it.
I found the picture of the rifle. I had my phone. I was on mute. No wonder you didn't hear me when I was saying it before. But I was wrong. When I looked at this on my phone, I did not know. This is actually a wooden gun that they painted black. So,
really?
Yeah, because you could tell if you look at it, you can see the wood grain. So, and on my phone, when I saw it, I thought, oh, it's a black synthetic stock. But you can see, you look at the scope where the rings are and the way they're attached and how low it is and how far back it's just not set up correctly. There should have been taller rings. The scope should have been higher. You know, it should have been sitting up higher.
You don't see much of the inscriptions that are supposedly on it.
You don't see any of them.
Yeah. Joke. Hey, back it was Mormons, not the Jews. Thank you, Wellesley. Phew. Yeah. So you have other people that you have clips of other people who are making some outrageous statements. We were just hearing from Ilan and Mehdi with their ridiculousness.
We'll zip real quick through this stuff right here, so we just get everything knocked out. I got it in order.
All right. Let's see what we got.
The FBI's, giving $100,000 reward.
Yeah, we heard about that.
We
heard about that.
All right. And then
Definitely.
You saw this, right? President Trump talking yesterday. Now, there's people claiming that this is AI or something because it looks like might have been an edit in it, and like that maybe there was 2 takes they edited together. I saw it looked almost like a wipe. So, but I'm not even going to justify the idiots claiming that this is AI because because they were the same people saying that Trump had a stroke today and nobody knows where he is, but then all of a sudden he's in New York throwing out the first pitch at the Yankees game for 1-11 and everything's fine. So I'm like, whatever, people.
The quickest stroke recovery in history.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I played this for the audience yesterday. So.
All right. And then we got Michael Schellenberger wrote a nice piece saying that,
Charlie Kirk created the environment that killed him, say many on the left. It's a grotesque lie. For 10 plus years, Democrats dehumanized conservatives to the point that half the left says Trump's murder can be justified. Little wonder their condolences are falling on deaf ears. Charlie Kirk either deserved to die or was asking for it, said many on the left yesterday about the popular 31-year-old conservative leader who was famous for debating college students. He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive, younger figures who's constantly pushing hate speech aimed at certain groups, said MSNBC political commentator Matthew Dowd just moments after a sniper shot Kirk in Utah. Quote, I know he was fired, yeah. Quote, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place. The author of a new Batman comic book spinoff, Gretchen Felker Martin, posted, thoughts and prayers, you Nancy bitch. Hope the bullet's okay after touching Charlie Kirk. And some of the news media referred to Kirk as far right, but Kirk was not far right or a Nazi, and he did not spread hate speech. Kirk was critical of transgender ideology, the left's dishonesty about race and crime, and the message of contemporary feminists. Consistent with his Christianity and his commitment to the American Constitution, Kirk believed that he had the right and moral obligation to speak unpopular truths, including that it is not possible to change one's sex, that the rate of crime among black men is disproportionate, and that families provide social stability and fulfillment. Many of the left expressed upset at Kirk's assassination, and MSNBC and DC Comics fired Dowd and Felker Martin. Quote, I apologize for my tone and words, Dowd said at Blue Sky. Let me be clear. I in no way intended for my comments to blame Kirk for this horrendous attack. Governor Gavin Newsom immediately condemned the assassination of Kirk, whom Newsom had debated on a podcast earlier this year. Other Democratic politicians did the same. New York Times columnist Ezra Klein wrote about how one could vehemently disagree with Kirk, as he did, and still not believe he should be killed. But the extent to which people on the left express joy at the killing of Kirk nonetheless remains disturbing. Many progressives agree with Dow that Kirk is responsible for having created the environment that led to his death. Social media is filled with videos of leftists filming themselves openly celebrating Kirk's murder. Hundreds of thousands of people liked social media posts justifying the assassination. And the mainstream liberal view is that Kirk encouraged political violence by spreading hate and misinformation. Dowd, in his apology, defended himself by saying, I was asked a question on the environment we are in and apologized for his, quote, tone and words, not his message, which was that Kirk had contributed to and perhaps birthed the heated atmosphere that led to his killing. This is such utter crap. This is such utter crap. I'm just going to just pause for a second. I just want to, there is no person who birthed this as directly as Barack Obama. There is no person who birthed this. You remember the deplorables comment from Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. SPLC has done a pretty good job at calling anyone on the right Nazis and hate, and put them on their hate map. I mean, I did it just in May, or I think it was May of this year, they put Charlie Kirk on the hate map.
What I'm saying is that he insidiously implied that anybody who disagreed with him was racist.
Oh yeah.
That's what he implied, and that's why when Hillary Clinton referred to half the country as being, her basket of deplorables, the racist, the misogynist, the homophobes, what I call my basket of deplorables.
But what Obama did that was most damaging to the country, like the spirit of the country, the country was getting a lot less racial until Obama came along and said, no, all white people are racist. Even my mother and grandmother were racist, and it's okay. It's just you have to not be racist. Try not to be racist. You're all
right.
You're all racist, white people. That's what he did. I mean,
not
in those exact words, but that's what he said.
Yeah. And anyone who disagreed with him, it's because, well, some folks aren't comfortable with people who don't look like them. That's he wouldn't say you're racist. He'd say some folks just aren't as comfortable with people who don't look like them. And that way his listeners would all hear they're racist. That's what he was doing. That was the insidious nature of what he did.
People and cross the street, just because it's. just inside her. She's not, like, okay. If I had a son, he would look like Trayvon with the gold teeth and trying to get a gun and beat a guy on the ground.
And that's when it became. Before that, the political rhetoric was you're wrong, I'm right about how the country would be better. Then it became you're evil, I'm good. And after Hillary came out with that basket of deplorables, the right embraced it and said, "Fine, we are the deplorables. We are the deplorables." So now what? Now, so it's like and the reason they felt comfortable with that is no one wants to be a racist. I mean, there's 2%. Less than 5% of people, although it's growing now, are comfortable being labeled a racist. But it's a matter of your words have no meaning to me and I don't care. But to their own listeners, to their own people, it did matter and it does matter. So yeah, he destroyed this country. He really did. For Joe or Jim, the pick of the rifle, can it be broken down into 2 pieces for easier carrying by the perp? Can you tell by the photo of it?
That type of gun, you can, it could be breaking down. You could take the barrel off the stock, but it wouldn't be easy and it wouldn't be something that you would be able to put back together right away. It's not like a gun, like it's not a breakdown rifle. Like they have breakdown rifles, where you could just, break, just the barrel disconnects and it goes into 2 pieces. That's not what that is. That barrel has to be bedded in there correctly. Otherwise, it's not going to,
I knew I saw this picture over here of that guy who was cheering, who they say it was not really. I knew he had been doxxed, and I was trying to find it before, and I couldn't find it. Apologize for going a little bit out of order here tonight. But this was Matt Tabor, was the person who was identified as the man immediately cheering on Charlie Kirk's rooftop shooter. That's the guy. And this is him over here. Supposedly, he denies that he was cheering. He does look pretty happy. Maybe he's not screaming in joy. I don't know. But it seems like he's screaming in joy. Such a horrific image there. Such a horrific image. Anyhow. Death Angel Shadows, remember, for 15 months, says, trust no one on Blue Sky. It is full of nothing but vile, hateful, and evil people hell-bent on destruction for free speech, freedom, and liberty. Well, I'm not saying to trust their perspectives. I'm simply saying can't be afraid of engaging. And I think there is a fear of engagements. You can't be afraid of engaging. And just saying, this is why you're wrong. This is why you don't know what you're talking about. Speaking of which, I promised I was going to look at some conspiracies. And there has been some talk. There has been some people issuing claims that perhaps there have been state actors who were involved. And I said, you know what? I don't know. I wasn't there. I have no idea who did this. Let's hear the logic behind this and see if I think it makes any sense. It's possible it will. I just don't see how anyone has facts right now to come to that. But let's hear what facts they claim to have. So with that, let's see if I can find Jackson Hinkle. His whole deal. And this is a bit of a long one. This is a guy who, as I said, he's someone who, if I think he literally will blame the Jews if his mic breaks. He'll blame the Jews when he gets a flat tire. He blames the Jews whenever he catches a cold, or whatever. So let's hear some Jackson Hinkle.
Everybody on.
Oh, that's way too loud. Sorry about that.
Today's episode, we are going to be discussing the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the conservative political commentator, and who I think maybe was behind all of this, okay? Now, obviously, I want to start off by saying what took place was an absolute tragedy. I was live on TikTok, live streaming when this took place, and I mean, you probably saw it in my face if you're watching. It was just horrifying to watch that video in front of all those people, in front of his wife, his child, his friends, his family. I could not think of something worse to happen to any one individual, let alone Charlie Kirk, who I think in no way, shape, or form deserve this. There's some crazy people online who are like celebrating this or saying, oh, well, you know, he said bad things. He did bad things. Okay. Charlie Kirk was a political commentator, not a politician, not a government official, not a military official. Charlie Kirk had no say over the state of our country, over where our country was headed, over the foreign policy decisions of our country. He had no influence on these things.
Not really true. He did have influence. He actually was in many ways more influential than your typical congressman, but okay.
So in the same way that
I get Trump on the phone.
I was going to say he had a great deal of influence.
He could get Cash Patel on the phone. He could get Dan Bongino on the phone. He could probably get Pambani on the phone.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. Some
congressman could definitely.
Yeah, a lot more influence than whoever is your local congressman. He had a lot more influence than them.
Donald Trump Jr. said he considered him to be.
That's like saying Elon Musk doesn't have, because he's not in government. He's not in government, so he doesn't have influence. It's like, just stop it.
Completely am appalled and disgusted by people who assassinated individuals like Daria Dugina, the extremely bright and courageous young Russian journalist and philosopher who was standing up for her country. She was assassinated by Ukrainian terrorists, these demonic...
Get to the point!
This was the man in question. You can see him right here. He's being, at this point, he was just...
this is the first guy that was arrested.
Handcuffed, and he was complying with the police orders, presumably. And, he was arrested within the grassy grounds of the venue. So immediately when I saw this, I was thinking to myself, well, everyone is saying that Charlie Kirk was shot from afar, maybe as much as 200 yards away. So how was he been arrested within minutes, if not seconds, of this shooting taking place, but he's on the grassy hill?
Yeah, a lot of people have this question.
Which was, maybe it was spanning 50, 60 feet up into the outdoor auditorium. So that didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, well, if he was shot from so far away, how is this the guy that assassinated him? Okay. Then something else really, really weird started to fill our phone screens as we were watching this all unfold. Let me go here. You had the suspected shooter, the alleged shooter, who was being, again, carried out by the police, and he started to say this.
Shoot me! Shoot me! Was that you? We don't know if it's him or not.
So you can hear in this video, he's saying, shoot me, shoot me. And the bystanders are like, oh, we don't know if it's him or not. Like, don't try to hurt this guy. We don't know if it's him. There was a lot of skepticism in the crowd, probably for the same reasons that I held this skepticism. I mean, this guy doesn't fit the mold for multiple reasons. Logistically, of course.
Logistics is age, nothing about it, just no.
Being the main one, as having been the shooter of Charlie Kirk. So why is he saying, shoot me, shoot me? Why is he screaming like a lunatic? After this part of the video, I don't know if it's shown here. No, it's in another video. Okay, so in this part of the video, you can kind of start to see it. He ends up on the ground somehow, and then he is carried off by the police. One officer was grabbing his arms, one officer was grabbing his legs, and they, essentially hogtied him and carried him out of there. So all of the police presence was fully directed at this man, the alleged shooter. and he was saying, shoot me, shoot me. He was acting like he was the shooter. This is what you call a patsy, a Lee Harvey Oswald.
No.
Okay.
No,
he
that's not what you call a patsy. Oh my gosh.
Clearly not in the right state of mind, or he was knowingly acting and serving as a distraction for the real shooter to get away. Because
if he was acting as a distraction for the real shooter to get away and working with him in that capacity, you think they would have picked someone who's so obviously not the shooter based on his age, demographics, and location? Is that what you think the brilliant plan was?
As he was doing all of this, and all the police are focused on him, all of the people are focused.
It's a good thing Jackson Hinkle saw through it. That's what you're assuming that the plot was. That people are going to think, oh yeah, that was the real shooter because he said he was the shooter. Like, I don't even understand what. Okay,
focus on him. All the phone cameras are focused on him. Where's the real shooter? No one knows. Why is he saying shoot me if he was not involved in the attack? If he was not the guilty party here, does that make any sense to anybody? I mean, that was the first thing I'm thinking.
How does that fit with him being a patsy? Because is that what you think that Lee Harvey Oswald was screaming shoot me? Was he?
I'm like, am I hearing this correctly? This guy's saying shoot me, kill me, but he's not the one that shot Charlie Kirk. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Or does this very clearly look like a patsy situation?
Or it could be that he was trying to create a distraction because he sympathized with the shooter. I mean, does that make sense? Yeah. That he's sympathizing with the shooter, and I
have more about that guy, because that guy I told you before, that guy has some strange stuff. There was an interview with him that he did on.
Well, let's come back to him in a bit.
Now it's gone.
If someone were to have shot him just then,
they're going to shoot him because he says shoot me? That's your thought? That's your theory, Jackson?
Maybe people would have just presumed that he was the guilty party and no one would have ever known. And there would have been no.
Yeah, obviously everyone would have just fallen for it. Clearly that like you would have seen through it, because Jackson's very, very smart. He's very, very smart. But no, the rest of the world would have totally fallen for it, that this guy who was like 12 feet away shot him from the roof of a building. That's what everyone else would have fallen for. Only Jackson would have seen through it. So clearly that was the patsy plan.
Of questions to this man, there would have been no one to actually inquire to this man to find out whether he was or was not the shooter. Could be. I don't know. I don't know if he was knowingly doing that, or if he's just a lunatic, or he's working in collusion with the shooter. I don't know. But I have a very big red flag that goes up when I see this video. Okay, so that was
you and everyone else. But the question is how you're putting these pieces together. Because I can't explain what the hell the guy is doing. I can come up with 400 different theories, but I have no idea why he's doing that. I don't know if he knows the guy or he doesn't know the guy. But if that was the plan, it's a pretty bad plan.
That was the first big red flag in this incident. Police, after about an hour or 2 hours, maybe, they said, you know what? That was not the shooter. FBI is going to be doing a region-wide manhunt now. What? That's not that. So we were correct. That was not the shooter. That guy was a patsy. He's either delusional or he was working in tandem with the shooter to obfuscate the situation, create.
A patsy would be somebody that they were trying to blame it on. He was trying to take credit and said it was him.
Yeah. Everything
he's a decoy.
Yeah, his decoy is the right word. He's not a patsy. He would be a decoy, if anything. Yeah.
Chaos and create a diversion for the actual shooter to presumably leave. I mean, this is obviously a horrible tragedy, and I don't want to make light of that. But the only way we can prevent future tragedies like this from taking place is if we get to the bottom of actually what is going on here.
Oh, so thank God we have Jackson here to get us to the bottom of it.
Who's responsible? Why there's an old man yelling, shoot me, as he's being carried off by police, but the real shooter is fleeing the scene.
It sounded like he was screaming, shoot me.
No, but Jackson Hinkle just said, shoo me.
No.
Without a trace.
He needed shoes.
Okay.
Cobbler.
So here we go into the next part of the story. There are multiple videos confirming this. This is the actual alleged shooter. on a nearby building. The people recording this video said that they saw him run across the building and then lay down there.
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying? Huh. He just ran from over, where's my finger? Well, from over there.
He's not good with the audio.
No, he's right there.
Given the calm nature of this video, we don't know, but I would assume that this was taken before the shooting took place. Obviously, if he's laying down there, that would also indicate that this was before the shooting. Here you have a bird's eye view of how far away the shooter would have been, but it was, perfect line of sight directly into the center of this outdoor auditorium where Charlie Kirk was sitting. I mean, this was obviously planned. The shooter had to have known that Charlie Kirk was going to be at least in this vicinity. And
we don't see what vicinity, Sean.
Probably in that exact location, because given the very clear line of sight,
get to the point,
into the center of that auditorium. Now, what I'll also say is, it's maybe 200, 100 yards away, but don't you think that any of the thousands of people here would have been able to simply turn around and see that the shot came from here? I mean, don't you think someone would have captured that on camera? There is one video from...
So you think everyone in the audience was in on it?
I believe it's inside this building, which did capture someone running on the rooftop, but it's a very, it's poor film, but you can see them running. It's just absolutely crazy that they were trying to, for some reason, pass off this guy as being the shooter from within the grass.
They weren't trying to pass it off.
The outdoor auditorium, okay? So now we get to this point where we know that there is a shooter from above, from a good distance away from where Charlie Kirk was sitting. And now you start to go into the psychology of someone who would have done this.
Okay.
Well, obviously, there's no question this is premeditated. Someone came there with a gun. Charlie Kirk had announced he was going to be at this university. I don't know if the exact location was announced, like he was going to be in that little grassy outdoor auditorium.
Mm-hmm.
But someone came there. Mm-hmm. They had enough time to climb on that building.
Yeah.
Maybe they even timed the shooting directly with the question that was being asked. There was a question about mass shootings being asked, and Charlie Kirk was answering. And he said, there's too many trans mass shooters. This is a crazy problem that we have in the United States. And he also started to talk about gang violence. And then boom, he gets shot. Okay, well, if this was a purely, bipartisan, left-right, Republican, Democrat motivated attack, you would think that this would fall in line with so many of the other mass shootings or political assassinations or attempts that we've seen in recent years of this nature. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is almost always, in fact, I can't think of one example where this has not been the case. These mass shooters or these attempted...
It's not a mass shooter.
Assassins or assassins.
Attempted assassins or assassins, okay.
Assassins, they crave the attention. Do
they? Thomas Crooks crave the attention? Ryan Ruth crave the attention? Did Mangione crave the attention?
They are doing this not only, but maybe...
Mass shooters tend to crave attention. Assassins, I can't think of a single assassin. Can John Wilkes Booth jumped off and screamed Tyrannus, but what was it? Six Semper Tyrannus.
The tyrants, right?
Right. Yeah, and but even he fled. It wasn't. He wasn't being concerned about being caught on camera. So yeah, do assassins? Can you think of assassins? Did
I don't know of any assassins that want.
Gabriel Princip, did he seek attention? Who's the assassin who sought attention? This is like
the get away, and they don't want to get caught. They don't want attention. I mean, the only person I could think, like maybe that guy on the bell tower in Texas that shot all those people in Texas back in the '60s with the.
But that's not an assassin. That's a mass murderer. That's my point. Yeah, so he's sitting here doing a whole psychoanalysis as to what this guy is probably going through this guy's mind based on what mass murderers do when he's looking at an assassin and pretending that this is the same thing. And this is how he's going to enlighten his audience.
In large part, in many cases, for the attention. to be seen.
No, assassination. You see, mass murder is for the attention. Assassin is, I want to get this person because I don't like this person. So no, that's why Mangione wasn't sitting, was on the run and trying to hide. What the hell are you talking about?
To be noticed, to have their message,
Idiots.
no matter how schizophrenic it might be, to be seen and read by the masses. Okay, they want this attention.
No, your whole principle here is ass backward. There's no other way to word it. It's ass backward. They don't seek attention, not assassins. And you're conflating mass murderers with assassins to try and come up with your ridiculous premise, which is stupid. It's childlike.
Now, in the case of Charlie Kirk, you don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that at all. This guy or woman shoots him and then flees the scene without a trace. There's no note, there's no manifesto, there's no bullet casing, there's no weapon left behind. Clearly, this was done in as much of a covert nature as possible, so much so the fact that I'd even say that that guy was probably a patsy. Of course, we have to have more information. I don't know if they'll give us that information, but I think that guy was a patsy who was initially arrested, okay?
Oh my God.
Now, mass shooters, if they want to,
you don't know what a patsy is, and you don't know the difference.
Is.
And he doesn't know the difference between a mass murderer or an
Harvey
assassin.
Oswald was a patsy.
Yes.
What do governments want? Governments want to assassinate their targets without.
So we're ready. It's definitely not an individual. We're ready on. It's got to be a government. That's
leaving
idiot.
a trace.
They left a lot of fucking traces.
Intelligence agencies, on behalf of governments, when they assassinate someone, they don't say, "Oh, we have." Well, maybe top political assassinations if you're like at war. Obviously, that's a different scenario. But when you're trying to covertly take someone out and evade any sort of guilt,
I can't. I'm done. I'm done. I'm sorry. So he's
you do this in a way.
And obviously, the only country in the world is going to be Israel. That's got to be it. Obviously.
That will create as much chaos and obscure the situation, muddy the waters as much as possible in an effort to actually avoid the blame being pinned on you. And that seems to be exactly what we are witnessing now with this event. So if a government or a large political body were to attack Charlie Kirk, who would it be? Who would benefit from something like this? Would the Democrats benefit? Possibly.
Maybe. I don't know. Like the heart, he's attacking the very heart of their voter base.
Is he going to say that Israel did it as a favor to Trump, to help Trump somehow?
I don't know. Possibly, maybe. Oh, they lost 3.5% of people transferring it. Like, what is 3 million people who basically changed over from being Democrat to Republican under the stewardship of Charlie Kirk. Possibly Democrats. Okay.
Possibly the Democrats.
Yeah, the two people who are most influential in getting that number of millions of people to switch over Republican to Democrat, 3 people are Donald Trump, Scott Presler, and Charlie Kirk. And possibly
could benefit from something like this. Charlie Kirk was a very moderate right-wing person, though, for the most part. I mean, when it came to domestic politics.
Did they call him a right-wing moderate? Did they? Doofus. He's so on tilt.
He was pretty in line with Trump. When it came to foreign policy, also pretty in line with Trump, with one notable exception, which we'll talk about in a moment here. But, this guy is pretty moderate. So would the Democrats benefit from something like this? Cui bono? Who benefits? The Democrats, you could argue, would potentially benefit. I could think of a lot higher level targets they'd want to actually take out, though, if they were trying to stop policy from being implemented. Because Charlie Kirk's not a politician, again. He's not a politician, so maybe
he's on it that it has to be a conspiracy involving some huge group like the Democrats or something. It's not.
People believe this clown. That's the thing. He went from having like 100,000 followers to 3.5 million by peddling this type of crap. it's astonishing. I mean, this is so poorly thought out. It as far as that he's conflating the psychology of a mass murderer with an assassin, which is no way related. A mass murderer is simply looking for attention, which is why they leave behind all the stuff to basically, to tell everyone their manifestos and stuff like that. Assassins are always fleeing and trying to hide. And he says, well, this guy's trying to flee and hide, and he's not acting like a mass murderer, so that must be that's some government agency or some government body. Let's rule out the obvious DNC candidacy because he's not that influential, even though he helped migrate 3 million people from being Democrats into being Republicans and striking at the heart of their electoral base in going after young Americans. Okay, yeah, okay, fine. It's probably not that.
If they wanted to take out
doofus,
I don't know, any one of the Trump officials.
Yeah, it's not like somebody tried to kill Trump twice or 3 times or 4 times.
They're not about policy. Who thinks that the Democrats are about policy? It's always as far as anyone who would be in a position from a government agency, it's all about power. It's not about policy. They don't care about policy. You think they really care about? You think that someone sitting up there like that? You think that AOC really cares about the trans? Idiots. It's all about power. He understands nothing. He doesn't understand psychology. He doesn't understand politics. He doesn't understand motivations. What the hell does he bring?
Being implemented. Maybe the Democrats wanted to take him out because they wanted someone more insane to fill the void. I don't know.
Where should you submit your applications?
I struggle to understand how the Democrats would benefit from something like this because right now the narrative online is like, well, look at how extreme these liberals
by not having Charlie Kirk getting these kids. He has 3,500 chapters in high schools and colleges around the country.
Yeah.
And people go to hear Charlie. They don't go to hear the other people in Turning Point USA. They go to hear Charlie.
Right.
They're killing people. They try to kill Trump. You have that black guy that killed that Ukrainian girl the other day. I'm not saying he was a Democrat, but and then you have, he did say though, I killed that white girl. And then you have this now taking place. So the narrative, I don't really think necessarily benefits the Democratic Party.
Narrative? What about removing someone who is just destroying you in the polls?
Okay, if a government were to take Charlie Kirk out, who could we?
So now we're narrowing it down. We're zeroing in.
We potentially look to. Well, we could look to Ukraine, definitely. Ukraine, I don't think he was on their government kill list. But
you're very familiar with everyone else's kill lists. You've gone through, you scan through Ukrainian kill list. He's not on theirs, even though he's like send not another penny to Ukraine.
Say, look at Ukraine. Well, Charlie Kirk's opinions on Ukraine. Yes, he doesn't like Ukraine. He's always spoken out against it, but not like me. He's not like a Z in the chat, ardently pro-Russia. He's not like that. He's just like I don't think we should send all this money to Ukraine, whatever. Does Ukraine have a history of political assassinations? Of course they do. Of course they do. They tried to plant a car bomb under Tucker Carlson's car when he was in Moscow. And I know several people who either had
They take credit for it? So they say, this is what we did?
Family member assassinated by Ukrainians, or who Ukrainians attempted to assassinate and they managed to make it out alive. So that is a possibility. But when you look at the material reality of okay, who has the ability to influence policy regarding Ukraine? Does Charlie Kirk have any influence over that? No, he doesn't. Is Charlie Kirk a politician? No. Is he a State Department official? No. Is he a Pentagon official? No. Is he an intelligence official? No.
All right, cut to the chase. So
why would you kill Charlie Kirk if you're Ukraine? So that I say that doesn't make any sense to me.
No,
it really doesn't make any sense. If Ukraine wanted to target an American, well, I mean, they did try to target Tucker Carlson before he did his Putin interview. But don't you think they would target someone who's like
blaming on Russia? Wouldn't they do it then?
affecting policy, like engaging in negotiations right now with Russia or engaging in negotiations with Ukraine or something. I think that they would target someone like that.
No,
So what other country could potentially target Charlie Kirk? That leaves us with Israel. So long as you have an attitude above room temperature and more.
I never would have seen that coming. I guess it's good we got rid. We knocked off China, we knocked off Russia, we knocked off all of them. Iran, all of them. Yeah. The only other country after Ukraine is obviously Israel. Okay.
There's only two countries: Ukraine, Israel. It's got to be one of those two.
Cells working in your brain right now.
I'm not sure you have both of them working. One of them's going.
And there were some interesting, very curious things that went along with this theory, and it's a theory that I will say I fully back.
Of course. Of course he does.
As of right now, I don't have any reason to believe that this was some like crazy liberal. I don't have any reason to believe that.
But I want to be clear about this before going further. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's that Ukraine was involved or that Israel was involved. Anything is possible. We know nothing now. But he has basically ruled out this guy being alone by cross-claiming and being confused between the psychology. The reason he's ruled out this guy working on his own is because he hasn't been seeking attention, which is very, very unlike all other mass murderers and very, very much like all assassins. So first and foremost, I'd be like, this guy's probably Mangione wasn't part of some team or something like that. Assassins tend to work alone, and they tend to work covertly. And he's ruled that out because he said the reason I think it's a government is because this guy acted covertly. So first and foremost, I think that he's an idiot when it comes to psychology and being and understanding a criminal mindset. And when he conflates those two so easily, a mass murderer whose only benefit and upside is getting the attention versus an assassin whose primary upside is getting rid of someone they deem to be an enemy or a threat or someone who deserves retribution. So his whole premise as to why he went away from this being an individual was retarded. And then he basically said, we only have Ukraine, and since he's not affecting policy in Ukraine, because he's not affecting policy, I don't know how, so he's seen Ukraine's kill list and he's ruled that out. So now the only other thing could be Israel. Am I saying it can't be Israel? No, he's telling us he's married to this theory. This is what I believe is what happened. If you come in, this is what did I write on this? I think I wrote something on this. If you come in with a theory of I wrote to someone on this who said they agree with him on this. So I wrote back to that person and I said, if 8 people went to a party at Mar-a-Lago, the architect would be fixating on the structure of the building and the beautician would be focusing on the fabulous style of Melania, and the chef the chef would be focusing on the amazing food. And I think it was under Ian Carroll who basically was saying Israel did it. I said, you and Ian would be sitting there and thinking that you're angry that it's possible Netanyahu once visited Mar-a-Lago, and if he did, he definitely bugged the place, and it's still bugged right now. Like that, if that's your mindset, then yeah, okay, it makes total sense. That's what Jackson Hinkle is. If that's what your fixation is, then everything comes back to it. And then it makes total sense that the reason that your bubblegum lost flavor a minute and a half earlier than normal is because Israel did something in the bubblegum plant. I mean, it's just, that's the mindset. Does that mean that Israel couldn't be involved? Of course they could be involved. I don't know. But if there was a list of people that Israel was gonna make as far as people that they don't like, I can tell you right now, just on the American side, there's probably 8,000 people ahead of Charlie Kirk. Candace Owens, you would think, right? I mean, Tucker Carlson,
again, it's
Ilhan Omer.
You haven't thought about it this way because since Israel controls our government, the U.S. government,
right?
Maybe they thought Charlie Kirk was getting a little too big for his britches, and
maybe about Tucker Carlson. They don't care about all the folks that Tucker Carlson has on. They don't care about Ian Cow. The person they really care about is Charlie Kirk, because he asked a couple of questions once.
Well, he's super close to Trump, though.
Yeah, but at the same time, having
war-
no influence on policy when it comes to Ukraine, but obviously being the predominant voice on policy when it comes to Israel. Why? I don't know, but apparently that's what Jackson Hinkle's come up with. What I'm saying is, can I rule them out? No, I can't. It's way too early. We don't know. We don't even know who the killer is.
We know who else we can't rule out? The FBI, the CIA.
You can't rule out anyone. I wouldn't accuse the DNC as being behind this. I think that's retarded. But I think it's equally retarded to blame anyone, and for some clown who's got 3 million followers going out there saying, this is who did it. I figured it out. When this guy can't even figure out the difference between a mass murderer and an assassin. I'm sitting there like, who the hell is listening to this guy? But apparently people swallow it up. Oh my God. Whew. No, I haven't looked over in Rumble in a minute. Let me make sure if there are any rants there. Make sure I didn't miss any, because that would make me sad. I think I'm good though. I think I am good.
You share my screen for 1 second.
I can do that. Let me remove this guy.
So it says, like, if you look up, here's the stories about Charlie Kirk. It says something about was Charlie Kirk on Ukraine's kill list. And so you get the Kiev Post. It says Charlie Kirk, Trump ally who opposed U.S. aid to Ukraine, shot. So it's right there. That's the Ukraine newspaper. So to me, that's them admitting.
I guess Jackson Hinkle isn't listening to his Russian overlords.
Yeah, Medved blames political violence in the U.S. on support for Ukraine.
I thought that was weird that he said he's pro-Russia. Also, I'm definitely not in any way, shape, or form pro-Ukraine, but I wouldn't call myself as pro-Russia. I'm basically like, I don't give a damn. I don't care.
The Ukrainian news network says he was against aid to Ukraine, calling for giving Crimea to Russia, and now he was murdered. So I don't know. Sounds like maybe it was Ukraine.
No. Jackson ruled him out. Can't be him.
Anyway, I think the people are.
Let's
do you want to get to a couple of stories?
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to get to some chats.
Okay.
So I want to catch up on that because I'm way behind. I'm asking you. I was told you were a lawyer. We approach problems with different perspectives, and that was my point, by the way, with the whole Mar-a-Lago thing. That like people focus on the things that they feel inside. So that's why a Jackson Hinkle is always going to come to Israel on everything, and a beautician is going to be looking at the style of Melania, where the architect's going to be looking at the structure. So you're looking at things as a soldier, and I look as a lawyer. We approach problems with different perspectives. I.e., would someone not rid me of this meddlesome priest? Blame the media for this. Prove me wrong. Yeah, okay. So you're saying that someone called for this guy to? I'm not sure what you're asking, Anthony. Are you asking if someone said something like that? Can you maybe, Jim, you can help me figure this one out? So, i.e., would someone not rid me of this meddlesome priest, which is a famous phrase, I think from Shakespeare, right? Blame the media for this. Prove me wrong. Oh, so I think what he's trying to say is the media is the one saying, would someone not rid me of this meddlesome priest, and they're the ones to blame for this shooter.
I think you got the media. I think you got the SPLC. You got Democrats. A lot of Democrats were railing on Charlie Kirk, calling him a Nazi, calling him a fascist. Hitler Youth stuff. All these things were said about him.
Yeah.
They're still
they were. They were.
Now the only people and really like you. I saw last night. You said like you gave Chunk Yogurt a lot of credit because he said what he said. But you missed one little part of his sentence.
What did he say that I missed?
Scared. He said, this could happen to any of us now.
Oh, you're saying he was scared?
Yes. That's the only reason he changed his tune, because he's like,
you know what?
Shit, I could be next.
You know what? Even if that is his motivation, it still works.
It didn't work for his nephew, who's still talking this crazy shit, Hassan.
Yeah. Same DM a generate response. CSC to the view. Let me see. I didn't see what the view said today. Let me see what this DM is. I didn't see what the view said. Oh, I'll pull this up here as soon as I should send it to me. Ask me.
I had something that Whoopi had said before, but I have nothing that. recent.
Did she say something stupid?
It was like before. She was about the Ukrainian girl that got killed.
Oh, okay, let's catch up on this.
I mean, especially though too. Another thing about Ukraine is because the Ukrainian refugee was killed, and Ukraine was mad that the Republicans were making a big deal out of it and weren't giving them more money. Because remember, they were complaining that they didn't get more money. That's all they wanted was, it's not getting us any money, so shut up. That's the way I took what they said anyway.
Fundamental part of being an American, that we are able to express our opinions to each other without fear, without this kind of horror happening. And it seems to be something we have been seeing more and more of. And it's not even left or right. It's just people being taken out.
No, it's just left.
Oh, wait. No, go ahead, play this. This is going to be great.
Because of their beliefs.
There's just no place for this kind of violence in this country. I am heartbroken over it. I cannot believe that someone would kill another person because they were speaking their beliefs.
Well, for years, you and your allies in the media have been conditioning half of the country against the president, his supporters, and figures like Charlie Kirk. Trump is Hitler, his supporters are fascists, right-wing extremists is danger to our democracy, they're Nazis, you know the words. Yet you seriously sit here acting surprised when lunatics who believe your words decide to take matters into their own hands. Your side burn and loot every time things don't go your way. Your side tried to assassinate the president multiple times. Your side burned Teslas all around the country and wanted Elon dead. Your side assassinated Charlie Kirk. Your side is currently celebrating it. So don't talk to me about, well, this is not a left and right issue. It is the left. It's only the left. It's ironically the Democratic side who engages in political violence and killings of figures they disagree with. And every time something like this happens, you come here, you tune down the rhetoric, crocodile tears, ooh, I can't believe this. Then a week later, you go right back at the dictator and fascist rhetoric again. So you don't really care. You're just pretending. And for that, fuck you, and you in a corner too.
He is funny. He's a good guy, that guy.
Yeah.
He makes me laugh.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Yeah. I'm late to the show. You remember for 19 months. I'll pardon that. Didn't know if you already heard that Tom McDonald wrote a song in honor of Charlie, God's Best to You. I did see it. It was a great song. I don't know if he's going to ding me for it. I will play it. I do think it's a great song. I'll play it because I think my audience needs to hear it. But if you're watching after the fact, I will tell you that I probably had to carve it out. So if you see it still here, just know that he was very cool about it. And if you don't, just know that he wasn't. It's really that simple, because if there's a chance I'm gonna get hit on this. So, but he did create a great song, really a beautiful song that he wrote out clearly yesterday today for Charlie Kirk. Why don't I see? Let's see it here. This is old. Let's see. Someone sent it to me today. Just going to search Tom McDonald. Charlie Kirk. Do it that way. All right. Post Malone. Sorry, I mean. All right. Let's.
Shot down and he was barely 31. Another woke coward took a life with a gun. He left behind a wife and a daughter and a son. All he did was try to speak for all of us. And I'm so tired of the hatred and the narratives. The patriots ain't dangerous, woke people are the terrorists. They shot and killed the father, sent a message to Americans. They ain't gonna stop until they bury us. Dear Charlie, I don't know if you can see us now, but if heaven has a window, I sure hope you're looking down. Cause we ain't going quiet, we gon' scream your name loud. And you're gone, but I swear to God that we gon' make you proud. We ain't backing off or giving up, I'll preach what you taught me. They may have killed a soldier, but that man had an army. This is far more deep than some political parties. And you can't kill freedom, so this one is for Charlie. This ain't the America that all our parents love, but good men try to keep making it great. Pray that God will take care of us, the system is failing us, but good men die for the things that they say. And I can't just be quiet, so I gotta be brave, cause this is America. Lately it's scaring us, but one good man can change it all in a day. Killed in cold blood for having a discussion, and liberals are celebrating murder like it's justice. You didn't kill a villain or the evil that it comes with. You killed a father and a husband. And I'm so tired of the left and all the wokery. We can't get along if you just kill us when we don't agree. Sniper rifle fire from a liberal that no one sees. Scared I might be next to die when I'm just buying groceries. Charlie, we'll make sure your children know that defending all our freedom is why you aren't coming home. I hope heaven has a window you can watch your children grow and hear your message echo from below. And we ain't backing off or giving up, I'll preach what you taught me. They may have killed a soldier, but that man had an army. This is far more deep than some political parties. And you can't kill freedom, so this one is for Charlie. This ain't the America that all our parents love, but good men try to keep making it great. Pray that God will take care of us, the system is failing us, but good men die for the things that they say. And I can't just be quiet, so I gotta be brave, cause this is America. Lately it's scaring us, but one good man can change it all in a day.
So that's Tom McDonald. He's a genius. Yeah. Anyway.
We didn't say it. We should have said it earlier, but never forget, man, 9/11. Been 24 years.
Yeah.
And it sure seems like America's forgotten, especially in New York. They're about to elect a communist, Islamist Muslim as mayor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did have a whole bunch of other stuff to show.
I know. It's very distracting. You go dig that up. I'm going to go through the. I'm going to go through some of the chats that are still out here. The old dude was a local town loony. Yeah, so he's going to shoot me.
About it. He was involved in some other stuff. He was involved in a bomb threat on a marathon in 2013 in Salt Lake City. Went to jail for it or whatever. He's been involved in a bunch of other
He's just a weirdo.
Just a weirdo dude that's constantly doing stuff. And supposedly, like, I can't find it now, but there was video of him in some kind of documentary where he claims to have witnessed planes hitting the towers on 9/11 or something.
Speakers like Ben Shapiro are going to need to have security on rooftops from now on if they're going to be outdoors. Ben Shapiro said he's going to be doing this. So we'll see. This might be controversial, but I was thinking Charlie Kirk was the white Malcolm X. They always take out the people who try to reach across the aisle. What do you think?
Why don't well, that would be fucked up. Sorry, because Malcolm X was killed by his own people.
Interesting.
He was killed by the Nation of Islam because he tried to walk away from the prophet Elijah Muhammad.
I think Barb was complaining. I think she doesn't like you.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. I think this was about Jackson Hinkle.
No, there is a couple people in chat that don't like me, but there's nothing I can do about it, so I just kind of ignore
I
it.
like you. So there you go. This guy wakes up in the morning, stretches, gets out of bed, stubs his toe on the way bathroom. Probably blame the tiny hat people for that too, 100%. Hinkle is a member of the Communist Party. Big surprise. Sorry, Joe, it wasn't the Mormons. It's the Jews. So look up Hinkle's CV. He has nothing. That's what I'm saying. And he has 3.5 million followers for spewing that hate. The name Charlie means free man. Cool. Well, one guy likes you. Julio Scissors gifting one Jim Tells You membership.
Yeah, it's my buddy Julio.
I say, you have a friend. There you go.
I have one.
The hardest person to find is the lone wolf. No one to sell you out. Maybe. No one to help you shack up. Also, though, could be a deep state or striking out for self-preservation tactic, trying to fearmonger, or just a nut job. We don't know anything. We really don't know anything. The gun makes us think that we know something. Can I get a part as well? You can even use a photo pen. By all means. Tom McDonald doesn't copyright ding people. Well, that'd be nice of him. Can we hire Blackwater ePrints 2 for security? Do you know what that is?
Eric Prince, Blackwater. I think they changed the name to something else now because they got sued over stuff. But Charlie Kirk it looked to me like he had
security there.
Security. I mean, there was, I don't know what you can't, there's not really anything you can. The only thing they could have did was they could have set it up better. It should have been prepped a little better. He should have been further back. He should have been a little further back in the tent. They should have had some plexiglass or something hanging down so that any type of shot would have got deflected off of that. There's things they could have done.
Those people who were doing the hand gestures and the motions.
That was weird. That was weird.
No, what I'm saying is, I think that they may have been the security. That's his security. So I think they might have been signaling other people who are part of security, and as like where they should go and stuff like that. Not that they're trying to tip off the shooter, shoot now.
No, but my question was the guy who was filming from far away that zooms in, the video that you can hear the shot in.
Mm-hmm.
Why did he zoom in at that moment and then immediately zoom? And then as soon as the shot happens, he zooms out and is looking around the crowd. I don't know. There should have been drones. There should have been all types of stuff there. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I thought we had all this Palantir stuff.
I don't know. I can't explain it.
All right. What do you want to do?
Let me bring it to us. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries respond to President Trump blaming the radical left for Charlie Kirk's assassination. Coming together is what we ought to be doing, not pointing fingers of blame.
But now I just want everyone to remember that Chuck Schumer is the guy that stood up on the Capitol Hill, on the steps of the Supreme Court, and told everyone that they're going to reap the whirlwind. And he named the Supreme Court justices by name. And then, like, I don't know, 2 weeks later, some guy went to Kavanaugh's house to kill him.
A week ago, he was leading a crowd chanting F Donald Trump.
Right. So
he's the classy one.
Look, the bottom line is this is a time that all Americans should come together and feel and mourn what happened. Violence, which affects so many different people of so many different political persuasions, is an affliction of America. And coming together is what we ought to be doing.
Now, I would believe him, Joe, if yesterday when they tried to come together in a moment of silence on the House floor, there wasn't people screaming no and shut up and the whole thing happened.
It wasn't a lot of people. It sounded like it was a couple of people. It didn't sound like I thought it would be worse when I first saw the title. The headline. I was like, I was expecting it to be a more loud and raucous no. But you're right. It's shameful.
It was more than one person. It was
right.
More than one person.
That's true. That is true. I mean,
and the fact that we don't know yet who those people were.
Well, so what I raised last night was if God forbid Brooklyn Dad Defiant or Cenk Uygur had been assassinated, and then someone in the house said, "Let's have a moment of prayer for Cenk Uygur," would you be like, would you and you're in the house, would you be like, yeah, let's, would you have been booing that?
No, I would never boo. I don't care who it was. It could be, I mean, let's see who. It could be Kamala Harris or Nancy Pelosi, and I still wouldn't boo. Even though I think, or Hillary Clinton, I think she's killed 50 people.
Well, the reason I named an influencer is because I wanted someone who's not part of the political body, so to speak.
I would never boo any. I'm a human being and an adult, and I would never boo anybody that died.
That's
or
true.
Cheer. Yeah, like I didn't cheer when Osama bin Laden died because I was like, oh wow, or I didn't think what happened to Gaddafi or when Gaddafi got yanked. Like, this is how you know who's evil. Okay, remember when Hillary Clinton said we saw he died about Gaddafi when he got dragged out and basically raped to death.
Right. So you're saying
those are evil people, sick people.
Well, that's what we said. People show who they are in moments of death. After 9/11, we had 2 weeks of unity. Sadly, that was the last time both teams got along. We got along for a lot longer than 2 weeks. A lot longer than 2 weeks. But yeah, I'm telling you, everything changed under Obama. Jim, I was talking about that Hinkle. I was trying to point to him. But yeah, I knew you were talking about that Hinkle dude. So what else you got for me here?
Well, here's Dave Portnoy, and he's, well,
Politics definitely has a huge part in it. Trump, and when I say Trump has a huge part in it, I don't necessarily mean he's to blame for it, but he's so divisive without really even just his face is like divisive. Like people hate him so much. And the left and the right, the rhetoric, especially to me, the left, is insane, and it just boils. And this happened when Trump, they threatened when his assassination attempt. There's like a 3-hour period of like, let's tone down the rhetoric,
right?
Then they're right back to it. Politics definitely has a
yeah.
So just
that it is always very short-lived.
Yeah. So this is a response to him. This guy says, "Who's divisive, moron?" And so we got this. Like, here's a list. You got Liz Cheney, top Harris surrogate Liz Cheney. Trump presents a fundamental threat to our republic, and we are seeing it on a daily basis. Steve Cohen, Trump is an enemy of the United States. Maxine Waters, are Trump supporters preparing a civil war against us? I want to know about all those right-wing organizations that Trump is connected to, training up in the hills somewhere. Washerman Schultz, Trump is an existential threat to democracy. Adam Schiff, Trump is the gravest threat to our democracy. Gregory Meeks, Trump cannot be president again. He's an existential threat to democracy. Dan Goldman, Trump remains the greatest threat to our democracy. Jake Auchincloss, what unifies us as a party is knowing that Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy. Abigail Spanberger, Trump is a threat to our democracy. I mean, it's just list goes on and on. I don't know if you want me to read them all.
No, it's fine. We get the point.
It's like here, and it's even more. Hawking Jeffries, all the stuff about what we're going to do, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and the Waltz, and all them. So then this is a lawyer for Perkins Coie.
And by the way, I'll just point out that he's polarizing. That doesn't mean he's divisive. And frankly, any Republican leader, it's not something unique to Trump. Yeah, Trump plays into it. And he hasn't, it almost like it makes him stronger when he gets all the hate. He just gets stronger, which is something relatively new. Someone was talking about the anti-fragile. I saw a clip earlier today. The difference between the fragile Republican, the durable Republican, and now the anti-fragile Republican, which I haven't read a book. Apparently there was a book on this. Some of you may be familiar with who the author is, but basically the notion being the fragile Republican was the Paul Ryans of the world, the Tea Party neocons who were very afraid of being breaking outside the norm. And they always were afraid that they would be viewed as being too harsh, too tough. Then you had the durable Republicans who were like, no, we're going to stand up and we're not going to be afraid of that label, but they would feel weathered by it, as opposed to the anti-fragile, which is like, no, that's just making me stronger. The more you come after me, the harder you attack me, the stronger I become. And that they don't know how to deal with the anti-fragile. And I think that Trump certainly doesn't. He does seem to get stronger and stronger. It's bizarre how much stronger he gets. In fact, it was Charlie Kirk who was talking about this, I think, with Steve Bannon, as I'm thinking this through. That's why it was a 4-minute clip of Charlie Kirk talking about it. And what I think it does make him unique. But the point that I'm getting at is it's not that Trump is per se someone that because of things he says or does, that he's considered this unique threat to democracy as identified by the left. When Vance, if he wins in 2028, they're going to say that he's worse than Trump.
Oh, I tried, and I forgot to say it. So,
whatever Republican wins will be labeled as worse than Trump, because people forget that with Bush, they said Bush was, a terrible human being, that he was a Nazi.
Well, yeah, they
Doesn't
said
matter
the same
who
thing
it
about
is.
McCain. They said the same thing about
Right.
Romney. They said all that stuff. But last night when you were talking about you had a disagreement with Andrea Burkhart about North Carolina, and she said, "Oh, that the Republicans destroyed all the stuff there."
Yeah.
There's been a Democrat governor in North Carolina for over 12 years.
I pointed out that since 2009, Charlotte's been has had a Democrat there, and I also pointed out to her, because she was saying that the lack of betting, and I happen to genuinely like and respect Andrea. I think that she's a very smart woman, very good attorney, and a great content creator on this particular issue. I'm like, I had put out a post where I basically was talking about Zarutska, and I said, that years of policy are on display here as to how damaging it is when you allow crazy people to roam free, and there's no fig leaf cover here. It's for the whole world to see on video. There's no fig leaf cover to try and blame a gun or someone else. And she's like, well, North Carolina is severely underfunded with their betting for insane people. And I responded back, you show me, I said they've had a Democrat mayor since 2009. 9 out of 11 council members are Democrats. And I said, you show me.
Roy Cooper, remember the whole thing with the governor, and then Roy Cooper was the governor, and then before Roy Cooper, wasn't it the guy who said,
well, she claimed I wasn't even looking at that. But the point I was getting at is, I said, tell me, every Democrat wants money, but they don't want to actually lock people up. They want money for other things, which is wouldn't help Zarutska here. Their policies are to let them roam free. That is their policy. If you find someone in the last 15 years who is complaining about underfunding because they wanted more beds, then you might have a defense for them. But none of them want more beds to lock them up. That's not the game plan. They don't have that agenda at all. So they might have funding problems, but it's not as if we gave them more funding, they would have more beds there to lock people up, because they don't want to lock people up. That's why they haven't complained about it for 15 in the last 15 years. So that's it. And I was like, I genuinely like her. I was like, and then she started saying how this guy, there's no reason to lock him up, and because he didn't do enough of a crime. And I was like, you're missing I said, you're so focused on this tree that you're missing the entire forest of my point. It doesn't matter what about this particular individual. He's symptomatic of what the problem is. So you want to tell me he wouldn't have been locked up? Maybe. I don't know. But the point is that you can't deny that this is a massive problem, and it gets exhibited that the guy's not locked up because of insanity, not because he's committed a crime. Anyhow, what else you got? Let's get a couple more before I get on out of here.
All right, so you got this one here. You got to pull it up.
Oh, I apologize. That's on me.
So the easy answer here is last night there was no rioting in the streets, and it tells you precisely which side is behind the majority of political violence. Less than a day after Charlie Kirk is killed, Representative Seth Moulton is blaming right-wing extremists for the majority of political violence in this country.
Right.
By and large, saying we all need to turn down the rhetoric. So let's be serious about where this violence is coming from. Of extremist violent attacks in America, extremist violent murders, 76% are from right-wing extremists.
What?
4% are from left-wing extremists.
What are you talking about?
I condemn that 4%.
I don't know where he's getting the number.
But we also need to be honest about
what the hell are you babbling about
where this violence is coming from. And oh, by the way, it's probably an appropriate time to talk about guns too.
No, it's not.
Conservatives saying, hey, the only thing we need to do here is get more guns on the street.
What a slimy
That's not going to solve this problem.
Gosh.
That's going to make it worse.
I got so mad
at that. Saying we all
get rid of this guy. I God. Like there's no more heinous way to urinate on the grave of a guy who spent his life standing up for Second Amendment rights than by saying his death is a call for Second Amendment rights. Like how sick in the head do you have to be?
I don't know, but here's a good one.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. Where boom, whatever. So.
Yeah.
And then it's from Gallego says, he goes, he says, horrific news. Let's hope keep him safe with his family about Charlie Kirk. And then immediately posts this thing is how Ashley Babbitt was a traitor. She's a traitor to this country, and she was part of a violent mob to try to overthrow democracy. And he ended up deleting this because people go, "Are you serious? She wasn't a martyr. She's a traitor."
Oh God, couldn't even hold on for 3 minutes.
Yeah, here's AOC. You want to hear AOC?
Sure.
I mean, I think what has just transpired is tremendously disturbing. It is the latest evolution of political violence.
It's hard to hear.
You heard it.
Not well.
Regarding the political environment, what message do you have to your fellow lawmakers regarding the political environment and the rhetoric that has been put out in the media?
Beyond rhetoric, we need to talk about action, and we need to talk about, yes, most importantly, we are in a job of leadership. We are in a job of action. We are in a role and a position where the American people, us, to do something about this. And every single day, people are dying due to gun violence in America. And every single day, there are people in this building that continue to vote.
I can't listen to her.
It's gun violence.
It's stupid. So it's so disrespectful. It is so disrespectful.
We got CBS News talking about how it's Charlie Kirk's fault that he got killed.
Oh, nice.
And as Tony mentioned, not everyone took to his words or his rhetoric. At times they were offensive to.
What's this guy's name?
But with that said, this is not the time to focus on that. We are focused on this tragedy.
About is that what's his face? The McCarthy, the former Speaker of the House.
I think this guy covered the Diddy trial with me. I think he was there every day. He looks a lot like that.
You see, McCarthy's there.
Okay,
across from him. McCarthy just sits there and takes this.
Right, because he's
Speaking
he's
of
the fragile
tragedy.
Republican.
Is this a moment for your party to reflect on political violence? Is it a moment for us to think about the responsibility of our political leaders and their voices and what it does to the masses as they get lost in misinformation or disinformation that turns in and spills into political violence?
I say both parties. I don't even say parties. I say a nation. Okay. And if there's a moment in time we want to look to, and I looked back and I watched this again when Robert F. Kennedy is running, and he's in Indianapolis, and he just got the news that Martin Luther King was killed. And he has to tell the crowd because we don't have social media at that time. And it was remarkable the words he said. He said, we have to ask as a nation, who are we? And how do we want to move forward? We have watched this political attack on both sides. We watched what happened in Minnesota. We watched what happened to President Trump. We've watched this on both sides. This is not a question about parties. This is a question about nations. We cannot normalize this. But Charlie,
the Minnesota thing, didn't that guy say that
he was a Democrat? That he was a Democrat himself? Yeah.
Tim Walz hired him because he wanted to take Klobuchar's seat or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
It's bizarre.
He skipped right over when the Congress was shot up by the Bernie supporter. That didn't matter.
It's leftist. But go on. But that didn't. Here's a fair point though. It's we're blinding ourselves to think that there couldn't be someone from the right who would do it also.
No. I understand, but what I'm saying is the rhinos are showing themselves who they are.
Yeah,
they're showing like, yeah, we're rhinos. We just talk all this stuff, but really we're perfectly fine with these Democrats and doing what they want as long as we get our piece.
Yeah. Kevin McCarthy. Oh, so glad he's gone. Go on.
not doing something where you would sit there and one party say something wrong. He was honoring. He was doing it on a college where ideas. This is what happened in the 60s. This is a moment in time for this nation to take this time to actually to make a question about all of us.
We don't want to go back to the 60s.
We don't.
Yeah. All right.
What happened?
I don't know. I think it ended.
I keep it on. Okay, yeah, we went to something else. All right, so we got this one. We got Jen Psaki with the Martian.
With Ben Kingsley? Who's that, Mark Warner?
No, it's the astronaut, Kelly.
I always confuse them.
He's going to talk about, no, I don't know. Let's see.
But he put out a 4-minute video, and I'm not going to play the video. I don't want to play the video. But there was a line at the end that I think I just wanted to raise and read. At the end of this 4-minute video, he says, "For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now." And obviously, there's a lot of rhetoric that is problematic. A lot of it is coming from one particular side and from one particular building. But what can be done? I
what?
Think this is an escalation.
It's an escalation that Trump said that you're calling.
Oh my God!
Escalation for Trump to say you got to stop calling us Nazis and Hitler.
Yeah,
you got to stop calling me Hitler. People are.
Oh my God!
So that's
oh my God! Zero self-awareness. Zero.
But what do you think the
self-awareness.
senator's going to say? You think he's going to go? Wait, what are you talking about? Are you retarded?
No way.
Ready in less than 24 hours of this shooting.
Yeah, I think historically presidents have looked for opportunities to bring people together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right now we need a president that'll bring the country together and not try to further, divide us.
But he put out a 4-minute video.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, not trying to further divide us.
I can't.
Here's if you want to read this from Tulsi Gabbard.
Charlie Kirk. Look for something that we can close out on because
this is right here. You
it's game time. On this one?
Yeah, you can close out. This is fine.
All right. Charlie Kirk was truly one of a kind. A kind is from Tulsi Gabbard?
Yeah, Tulsi.
Yeah. A kind, loving, and courageous soul who lived what he preached. His view that our political, social, and spiritual differences should be debated freely and respectfully was something he put into practice every day. A living embodiment for the vision our founders had for our country. The person who shot Charlie Kirk sought to silence him, using violence to take away his freedom of speech by ending his life and to terrorize those who think like Charlie into silence. This evil act is the very definition of terrorism, an unlawful use of violence and intimidation in the pursuit of political or religious aims. Today, on the anniversary of 9/11, we recognize that whether it's Islamists like Al-Qaeda or the fanatics who try to stop Charlie Kirk and others from speaking the truth by banning them from campuses or ultimately by assassination, the one thing they have in common is that they are so afraid that their arguments, views, and policies will not stand when challenged in free and open debate that they resort to violence, not only to silence the people they want to shut up, but to terrorize everyone else into silence. Charlie Kirk stood up to such fanatics who hate freedom and want to silence any who dare to challenge the so-called liberal establishment. This assassin killed him to prevent his voice from being heard, prevent him from inspiring others, as he did every day, and to terrorize and intimidate the American people into silence. I was sickened but not surprised when I saw the propaganda media like MSNBC react by encouraging and justifying this evil. Within minutes of the shooting, they said Charlie brought it upon himself. They said the very same thing about President Donald Trump after both assassination attempts on his life. And the Islamists who attacked us on 9/11 also made the same argument, i.e., that the American people deserve the attack. What they're really telling us is shut up, be quiet, or face the consequences. We cannot allow their darkness and evil to perpetuate. Charlie truly loved our country and dedicated his life to protecting our God-given rights. We must honor his life's work and the promise of America by continuing to lift our own voices and defend our God-given freedoms enshrined in our Constitution. I'm devastated that Erica lost her husband today, their children lost their father, and so many of us lost a dear friend. Our nation lost one of our greatest champions of freedom. I pray Charlie is now able to rest in the warm embrace of God's love. He will be dearly missed. Really beautifully written.
Yeah. So she, I don't know. She became close to him, I think, in the last couple of years, like going to speaking engagements and stuff like that, and even Bobby Kennedy said really nice things about Charlie Kirk. Like I didn't know, and there was another. Oh wait, let me find it because this one. Let me hold on. I got a couple of people waking up, but there's one from that I didn't know about. Like Ross, what's his name? Ross Ulbricht. Hold on.
That was you just sort of you shouldn't have even done that. You just let it go.
What?
You
Me?
just I'm saying just let it go. Just
Okay.
like you have that was a really great final message from Tulsi.
All right. Well, anyway, like I didn't know. Okay, never mind. I didn't know that Ross, the guy that was in prison that Trump pardoned, like he came out. He said that the reason Trump pardoned him was Charlie Kirk.
Hmm.
The guy that was the whole Silk Road. He had the website.
Hmm. Lauren says Charlie would have loved this debate. He always respectfully entertained discourse. His goal was to get people to talk to each other and have honest conversations. Yeah. McCarthy is fragile. I'm done with words. I want action. The point that I keep making is that words are action. The proof of that is look at Charlie Kirk's words, and he was more influential than a nuclear bomb. So, words are action. People really don't give enough value to it. I understand that looking at the world as a soldier, you think of action as blood. I get that, Anthony. But my point is that words are action. Being genuinely tough as opposed to showing how many others you can harm, but being tough enough not to bend, break, but just to grow stronger when you're attacked, and stay true to your principles. That's what real strength is. That's what being a man ultimately is. Remember that creator in the days of thy youth. All right.
Ross Ulbricht, that was his name, yeah.
Thank you. Good. Okay.
I got it somewhere. It was in there in the stack.
All right. That is our show. I want to thank you, Jim. Where can people find you?
They can find me on X at Jim Satala, or on YouTube or Rumble at Jim Tells You. Also on Locals at Satala Consulting LLC.
All right. I'm going to urge you guys to check him out. He is an invaluable source of phenomenal information. And it just happens to be
phenomenal.
No, you do a really good job. You do an amazing
link, right?
That's part of the information that you're a source of. Yes. So I thank you all for joining me. I appreciate your time and your company. And I will tell you that, God willing, I'm going to try to be doing a show this weekend, probably on Locals, just because I need to do that. And that's at goodlogic.locals.com. You see it in the white there, goodlogic.locals.com. I'm also going to remind you that it's a weekend. So you might be having one of your final barbecues before it gets too cold. So make sure that that's actual real meat from like carbon-based life form. Do not touch the lab meat. That's not meant for you. It's meant for they, them. It's not for you. And also, do not eat the bugs. Don't do it. Don't eat the bugs. I thank you all. Have a good night. And as always, Godspeed.